Tanya Showers will try and validate an impressive maiden win in her last start. She'll try and run down the field late with her closing style. And it's a strong Saturday card at Tampa Bay Downs. Bookham Dano is less than a length away from perfection in his four-start career. Today he'll try and rebound off that lone loss in the Pasco for three-year-olds. All that and more coming up on this Saturday edition of America's Day at the Races. It's brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Good to have you with us on our Saturday coverage. Welcome to FS2. Hello, everybody. I am Greg Wolf, and today, yes, stakes action from Oaklawn Park, Tampa Bay Downs, and here in New York, where qualifying points are on the line for the premier race for three-year-old fillies in the country, the Kentucky Oaks, and today's Busanda and Kenny McPeak. With the odds-on morning line favorite, Shimmering Allure, she looks to shine and pick up potentially the second stakes win of her career coming up. And here's a look at the field that's going to line up against her. It is compact for rivals she'll face, but no question she is the one to beat. 4-5 on the morning line, and Manny Franco will ride with me. New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling, and she looks awfully tough to beat today, doesn't she?
She does, and I think, you know, some people might look and say, well, it's got points for the Kentucky Oaks, but it's January at Aqueduct on a rainy day. None of these horses can possibly win the Kentucky Oaks. I'm not saying she's going to win the Kentucky Oaks, but to say that she's not a horse that has a chance to be effective in that race, and obviously she has to win today, and, you know, they don't run races on paper, but based on this effort last time, I think to suggest that she couldn't be an Oaks contender, she got a 79 buyer, Greg. That's the same buyer, I believe, that the winner of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies got, and she did it while circling the field from last on a track that was extremely kind to inside speed. So she earned it the hard way, gets a wet track again, and she's a horse for Ken McPeak that's got some real talent.
Just FYI, she could be a player in the Oaks, is what you're saying.
Wow, that was good. That's why you're the man.
That was the winner of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies for Belmont. She's been impressive, and you know, looking at her last couple of starts, and this being the first start of her three-year-old campaign, looks like she's moving in a direction where she could take another big step forward.
And she certainly feels like a horse is going to have no problem with distance, and that's always a bit of a question with these horses. And she seems okay to me. Listen, she's got to go out and get it done, and she's meeting some horses that have run all right. But all things being equal, if she runs her last race, she's going to be extremely tough to beat.
That is coming up next. It's going to be our first live action of the afternoon. Just 14 minutes to post in the Busanda on the road to this year's Kentucky Oaks for three-year-old fillies. Look at what's ahead. Presented by Claiborne Farm. We are muddy here in New York. Good at Oaklawn in fast conditions where the sun is usually always shining in Tampa Bay, and stakes action from all three tracks coming up, including a horse who right now is 6th in the Kentucky Derby points list. Saratoga West will line up in that race, and he's not the favorite.
Wow, there you go. Pretty early on that. Here's a stat in the first race we're going to show from Tampa. Chad Brown is a first-time starter going 6 furlongs in the dirt. He's 4 for 4 at Tampa with sprint debuters on the dirt over the last 5 years. 4 for 4, looking to go 5 for 5.
Chad Brown, Todd Pletcher, both with intriguing new names coming up at that 5th at Tampa Bay. You could play all the action by getting signed up with Naira Bets. New members, punch in that code and sign up. Match 200 to get that $200 deposit match sign up bonus right there at nairabets.com. So as Andy just alluded to, 5th at Tampa Bay. This is actually going to be our first live race of the day. Maiden special weight, 6 furlongs, and we see some big name trainers lining up in this one.
I mean, people like shipping to Tampa. Usually we see them in turf races, but you've got 2 Todd Pletchers and a Chad Brown in here. But you also got Kathleen O'Connell with a firster. It's not taking much money, but she can be dangerous with firsters.
All right, so this will be our first live race of the afternoon, but as mentioned, stakes action ahead, including three-year-olds. And to get us started off on what to look forward to, Acacia Clement joining us, the Pasco Acacia later today. And as mentioned, a horse already with Derby points. He is not the favorite in that race.
No, West Saratoga, Greg, can't wait to see him making his first start since the Breeders' Cup. We will have Breeders' Futurity, excuse me, but we will also have an opportunity to see Bookham Dano, 2 horses that I think are really talented, and we'll be able to go head-to-head in that Pasco a little bit later on today. As we saw Bookham Dano last time out, trying his hand at going the mile in the Nashua. Ran a valiant effort behind Where's Chris, those 2 far ahead of the rest of the field. And we'll turn back a little bit in distance now to the 7/8, which even though trainer Derek Ryan had said he felt like he kind of had that even running style to go a little bit longer, it does seem like the 7 furlongs is more suited to his style. So looking forward to seeing him in the Pasco. That for the 3-year-olds, the 3-year-old fillies will have their chance in the Gasparilla, and then also with the older fillies and mares in the Wayward Lass for today's Skyway Racing Festival at Tampa Bay Downs. But we'll also have, as you mentioned, an Ice Maiden special weight coming up next in the 5th race, and this is a race that does seem to be live with some impressive first-time starters potentially. But I wanted to take a look at the number 7, Managing Mischief, a horse that was able to clear from the far outside post last time out. She has a lot of speed. I like Tim Ham's second off of the layoff, and she's incredibly fit, very, very sharp. Charlie Marquez, since becoming a journeyman, has done very well this winter down at Tampa Bay Downs, and this one has a nice pedigree by Maximus Mischief, who does well with his dirt sprinters. But first-time starters, an expensive daughter of Quality Road, the 3 Chantilly Road. My French in-laws would be very upset if I pronounced it any other way. She worked 10-1 at the OBS March 2-year-old sale, but about 10 months ago, and we're just seeing her debut now. She's very fit, got a strong warm-up from Sammy Camacho. Physically, she looks like she wants a little bit more distance, but she does look ready as far as the fitness perspective is concerned. Todd Pletcher sends out 2, including the 6 Hot Candy, daughter of Malibu Moon, the dam, actually sister to multiple graded stakes winner Hurricane Birdie. She's the one that looks more mentally clued in of the 2 for Todd Pletcher. A little bit more intensity for her. Also got a strong warm-up on the track, Greg, and we'll see if any of these first-time starters could be some future stars starting here at Tampa, which we've seen be a good springboard racetrack in the past.
Yeah, we got 3 first-time starters from the powerful Todd Pletcher, Chad Brown barn in this 5th race. The 1, the 3, the 6, and it's the 3 for Chad Brown, Andy Chantilly Road, however you want to say it.
Chantilly Lace. Could be like Chantilly Lace,
Exactly.
you know? I mean, come on, the big bopper. I'm interested to see if Chad could go 5 for 5 over the last 5 years. It's just such an odd stat to see. Money Supply actually was one of those horses. Another one was Gina Romantica, and she went on to be a multiple Grade 1 winner, but on the turf. We'll see, and Todd's got 2 in here. Top trainers like to go for the turf course at Tampa, but I think they like to run in the dirt as well, and you see Todd shipping horses out there. Didn't Always Dreaming, I want to feel like, ran a race here before he won the Florida Derby. He might have. I thought he did, but maybe I'm wrong. I know Todd has shipped horses here for races other than stakes that he's done well with.
See what happens here. And Acacia also brought up trainer Tim Ham with the 7, 3-1 Managing Mischief. That horse ran second in the same condition, but didn't have to face the likes of some Pletcher and Chad Brown firsters. We'll see what happens here. Jason Beam with the call. Here's the 5th from Tampa Bay Downs.
Managing Mischief, Charlie Marquez to the outside draw. And she goes in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. A couple of slow starts there at the back, including 2 of the favorites there. Chantilly Road came away last. Managing Mischief was out well. The Dove Rules, those 2 1-2 through the early proceedings. Moving up now is One Special Act to take over 3rd. Isabel and Chantilly Road, they're charging through it on the inside after those slow beginnings. They go by Hot Candy, who's now back second last, and at the back early on is Fluffy. Managing Mischief, though, has the early lead. Chantilly Road, after that slow beginning, is all the way up now to challenge between horses. One Special Act out 3 deep as they run toward that turn. Just in behind them, the Dove Rules is 4th. Isabel Ann is 5th, about 4.5, 5 off the top. Then comes Hot Candy. At the back, still Fluffy. 23-1, a pretty modest tempo up front for Managing Mischief, who leads it now by a length. Chantilly Road pushed to keep up with that one, but Managing Mischief continues on and now puts almost 2 on the field. One Special Act up on the outside. The Dove Rules trying to come through down along the inside. Fluffy is trying to get in gear from the back. And then Isabel Ann, and at the back is Hot Candy as they turn for the money. Managing Mischief and Charlie Marquez off the turn in front by 3 now. The Dove Rules tries to take up the chase. Fluffy down the outside. Chantilly Road is now back 4th. They have just over a 16th left to go. Managing Mischief, the lead still 2.5 lengths. Fluffy down the outside looks the main danger. Then comes the Dove Rules. Managing Mischief and Fluffy, but Managing Mischief just keeps on going. Managing Mischief won it by 2. Fluffy was second. Then came the Dove Rules. Long way back to Isabel Ann and Chantilly Road.
Acacia pointed out this barn, second off the bench, very dangerous. Does it again with Managing Mischief.
Acacia didn't need to start off the bench. She came right out with that big stat. I gave you the stat with Chad Brown that went down, and Todd Pletcher with 2, Chad Brown with 1. None of them hit the board.
Here's all the stakes we have on today's program. Busanda coming up immediately, 7 minutes to post on the road to the Kentucky Oaks here in New York. Wayward Lass, Gasparilla, the Pasco with West Saratoga and Bookham Dano, and then the Mockingbird from Oaklawn. But our ADR race of the week, that is in our immediate future here. The Busanda mile and an 8 3-year-old fillies with points on the line to this year's Kentucky Oaks. Shimmering Allure for Kenny McPeak. Stakes winner, 2 starts back at Aqueduct. That was an attempted. Let's head downstairs for more with champion jockey Richard Migliore. Hey, Mig.
Hey guys, it's great to be on with you here. It's a nice kind of blustery Aqueduct afternoon, and this is just a really good-looking group of fillies in general, starting with the one, Jin, a homebred for Calumet Farm. Brad Cox, boy, she comes in here looking as good as a horse can look. I mean, her coat is just absolutely amazing, and, you know, this time of year, it's hard to keep good coats on these horses as far as, you know, they're going to grow more hair. I mean, she's just really well turned out, get that rich hydrated look we look for, gets a good inside draw. Filly that at times has shown a bit more speed, can maybe get some position from the inside. Your favorite, Shimmering Allure, listen, she is already shown that she wants every bit of a mile and an 1/8. She's a good-looking filly. She's a very deserving favorite, making a real nice impression here in the paddock. Really intelligent filly. You love when you look at a horse and you see that kind of soft suppleness to their eye, and they're kind of looking at everything, taking it all in. The 3, most of all, big, solid daughter of Quality Road for trainer Bill Mott. And then the 5, Princess Mayfair, for a trainer that I think we should all get a little bit familiar with, Stephen Chirkop, won over 45 races last year, wins at a high percentage. This is a filly that is trained extremely well on the dirt. Talked to him about her, says she can be a bit high-strung, but that she's really settled in, and she's acting really well. And this filly has a lot of natural speed. Maybe she can shake a little bit loose early. Going to be interesting to see if those works on the dirt correlate to how she'll run here in the Busanda on the dirt.
Mig, thanks. That is one of the interesting storylines in this race. This is the 5 you're looking at, her first try on a dirt surface. All prior starts on synthetic, but she has been quick early.
Well, no, Mig is absolutely right. I agree with you. She's supposed to be in front here, and she's the wild card in the race because she can get loose. She's never been on the dirt before. The pedigree isn't screaming dirt, but possible.
Here's Jin to kick off the post parade for trainer Brad Cox.
I mean, you have to always respect Brad Cox's horses, and she's been keeping good company. She just hasn't been doing that much running against that good company.
Stakes placed on a wet track at Churchill. The favorite, Shimmering Allure for Kenny McPeak.
I mean, this is a legitimate favorite and a worthy 4 to 5 shot. She ran very well last time on a muddy seal track.
Most of all finished behind Shimmering Allure and well behind her in the Demoiselle.
I think her potential advantage here is she has early speed, so she should be more forwardly placed.
Todd Pletcher barn on a filly that went gate to wire to break her maiden last out.
Yeah, she's the least likely winner in this race. She set a slow pace on a speed-favoring track and ran a slow figure last time. Just paper, she's just not good enough.
And the filly Mig was last touching on here. Dirt debut for Princess Mayfair.
Yeah, I mean, she's the total wild card in this race. You have absolutely no idea, and I like the fact that the trainer takes a shot, shipping her down. You find out sort of early. You feel a little bad they caught a wet track, right? Because you're not going to absolutely find out, but I think you'll get a good idea because she's supposed to be loose in the front end. So if she can handle the dirt, she should be okay here.
Listed as muddy for the Busanda. It is up next when we come back on our FS2 coverage on the road to this year's Kentucky Oaks for 3-year-old fillies. Thanks for being with us on this Saturday afternoon coverage from Aqueduct, Tampa Bay, and Oaklawn. Our program brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well as we get set for this Kentucky Oaks qualifier in the Busanda, 4-5 favorite right at her morning line. That is Shimmering Allure, the 2 for Kenny McPeak. Let's bring in Jonathan Kinchin. JK, what are your thoughts on the Busanda?
Yeah, look, I mean, I wanted to try to get a little creative in a spot like this. When you have these 3-year-olds that are progressing, you know, sometimes they can grow up a little bit and change in front of your eyes. But I didn't really feel that there's any that were going to change enough to kind of overtake Shimmering Allure, the 2-horse here. She ran extremely well in the Demoiselle right in that second there. She was wide all the way around the track on a muddy racetrack, which, you know, the pace wasn't particularly quick that day, and then losing all that ground. I think that performance is actually a lot better than it looks on paper, and that was the reason that I felt like she was going to take another step forward off of that effort. I don't think it's necessarily an upgrade in rider, but I think it's an interesting change in rider, and a rider like Manny Franco, who's had the year that he's had, and I'll stick to this opinion that I don't think too many people in New York finish better on a horse than Manny Franco.
I think that's a widely held belief. Yeah, he is one of the strongest finishers. Ended last year as the leading rider on this circuit. Had a fantastic 2023. He's got a big chance here.
Very strong rider. I mean, we've had a lot of strong riders here. Judah Alvarado's a strong rider. Irad's obviously very strong. Joel Rosario is a very strong finisher as well. You get to this level of riding, these guys ride at such an incredibly high level. And sometimes when I watch some lesser tracks, you start to really appreciate the riders that we have here, especially in the, you know, in the summer months. But even now with guys like Manny still here and Kendrick Carmouche and others as well, these guys are so good at what they do. I mean, I know it's obvious, but I think sometimes we underappreciate how talented a lot of these guys are.
Yeah, well put. And these are the guys staying here. You say a lot of the big names out of town, but these guys braving the elements as well during these winter months. As we get set for the Busanda, Shimmering Allure, the 2. Manny Franco for Kenny McPeak, 4-5 favorite, right at her morning line. Winner of the Tempted at Aqueduct back in early November, trying to gain a few more points on the road to this year's Kentucky Oaks. Let's go upstairs to Chris Griffin for the call.
Princess Mayfair. Goes in. All set. And they're off. Most of all breaks very well, and so does Princess Mayfair towards the far outside, drifting out a touch, but Princess Mayfair will cross over and takes him into that first turn. Most of all, Jose Lascano, they'll stalk off of this pace setter now, who starts to get away, is up by 1.5 lengths. It's most of all settled in second. At the rail is Jin Jin. Shimmering Allure is at the back end of the field there with Class Act, pretty tightly bunched, 2.5 to cover them all as they're chasing Princess Mayfair. Princess Mayfair's got the lead, went 24 seconds flat for the opening quarter mile. It's Princess Mayfair who takes him to the backstretch. Most of all is stalking right there from second. Jin Jin is at the rail in third. Shimmering Allure is in the 4th position, is progressing nicely now, is in between rivals, and out wider, there's Class Act, who's still the trailer. As they work up the backstretch and they chase the big long shot here at 10-1. Princess Mayfair 47-4 for the half-mile time. It's Princess Mayfair now up by 2 and starts to turn it up front. Continuing to chase there is most of all in Jin Jin. Shimmering Allure. Class Act has lost ground, is now 8 lengths off the lead. Princess Mayfair and Dylan Davis still doing it nicely enough. Most of all is fully in pursuit, and Shimmering Allure is out wider, trying to travel there with Jin Jin as Princess Mayfair is still up by about 1.5 lengths, approaching the quarter pole. 1:12 flat for 3/4 of a mile. Jin Jin now gets the cue, is going to go into the 2 path, and here comes Jin Jin, and Trev McCarthy sees the same, and Jin Jin is fully in pursuit of the runaway leader. Princess Mayfair has got to gut it out, but Jin Jin is right up alongside. Too far back right now, Shimmering Allure. Most of all, it's down to these 2 in a stretch battle. Up for long left to go, and Jin Jin trying to put it away. It's Jin Jin now opening up here by 1.5 lengths. Jin Jin's got the lead. Princess Mayfair's run a big race, a 16th to go. Jin Jin up by a full length, and Jin Jin, Trev McCarthy, they win the Busanda. Princess Mayfair a very good second, then Shimmering Allure, and most of all in 1:53.31.
distant third for the 4-5 favorite, Shimmering Allure. It's Jin Jin in the Busanda for trainer Brad Cox with Trevor McCarthy.
Trevor McCarthy got a perfect trip, and I think while you still want to be outside, we are seeing horses run better that are towards the inside as this day progresses, and obviously the rain. So the inside isn't necessarily as big a disadvantage as it's been the last few days of racing. Very good performance by Princess Mayfair. We talked about her being the clear speed. Dylan did everything right, but Trevor gave this horse a perfect ride, and she ran. But you have to say that the big story of this race, besides the winner, and give her all the credit, she got it done, is that Shimmering Allure was a complete and total no-show. And listen, they say that no true wet tracks are the same. She had run so well on a muddy sealed track here in her last start. This may be the worst race she's ever run since her first 2 starts. She was awful. She basically never ran a step.
No show here. Never threatened really at any point. It was between Jin Jin and Princess Mayfair. The 5 was making her first start on dirt, and that's something to build up potentially for that daughter of West Coast for Steven Chirkop, Dylan Davis. But this one all about Jin Jin and the rich get richer, Brad Cox, who has so much talent in his barn, now with an emerging 3-year-old filly.
And she set an honest pace. They went a faster second quarter than the first quarter. It was an honest performance by her. She ran very well to be second. But Jin Jin got the trip, and congrats to Trevor McCarthy. Happy for Trevor.
Wins at 5-2. We're going to return after a timeout, take you to Hot Springs. First live action of the day from Oaklawn Park coming up. 3 minutes to post in their 4th when we come back.
It's a domineering display by the ultra-talented McKenzie. McKenzie in a dominant performance.
200 right there. 1,200,000. 25, 550. Mitchell, 550,000.
And now 500. And 500,000. Thank you.
450, 75. 475,000.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Club American Oaks.
Forte to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Eclipse champion Blame, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on our FS2 coverage, America's Day at the Races, 4th at Oaklawn, 6-furlong sprint, 20,000 starter allowance coming up in this next race. It looks like Cold Fiction, the 2, Jackman, the 3. Both those 2 look very tough. Could go through those 2 with more. Let's head out to Hot Springs for the first time today. Check in with Paul Duca.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Thanks, Andy. Happy Saturday to you as we get the racing here going at Oaklawn in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And I'm with you. I thought the 2 horses in here to beat were the 2 and the 3. The 3, Jackman, if you go back and you look at some of the horses that he's faced, he was 3rd to Skelly. We saw Skelly come back here. It's the horse that won the Lake Hamilton, a very, very fast sprinter, and is going to be a major player in the sprint division. And, you know, just kind of went a little bit south at the end of September. Carl Broberg gave this gelding a little bit of time off, and now he's come back with 2 really solid efforts. You know, he's been favorite 7 out of his last 10 times he's run. He's cashed in 3 of those times, but he is 11 for 12 in the exacta here in the trifecta here at Oaklawn. I think he's the one to catch in here. The 2 Colt Fiction. You know, Peter Miller's horse, this is a 9-year-old that he ships here from Del Mar, does have a work over the racetrack. A lot of his other horses have been working fast. This one doesn't have a fast work coming in, but does have some fast numbers. And I thought the 6 held the key to this whole race, Greg, because Love to Win, Norm McKnight, his horses have been firing, and this horse has shown speed going 5 furlongs over synthetic, so could be the thorn in the side of Jackman, but Jackman has a ton of class.
Thanks, Paulie. He does. 10-time winner from 35 outings, 4 of those coming right here in Hot Springs, where he has been first or second in 9 of his 12 starts. The 3 Jackman, current favorite. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call, 4th from Oaklawn.
Waiting for Tropical Storm. Tropical Storm goes in. We're ready to go for race 4. And they're off. A slow break from Solidify, and Trigger Happy stumbled at the break. Jackman had no problems coming out of there. He darts to the front. Love to Win takes the 2nd spot with Tropical Storm and Colt Fiction down on the inside, 2 behind in a stalking position. A gap of 2 to Trigger Happy, passing Lycan, and the trailer is Solidify down the backstretch. Approaching the half-mile pole, Jackman clears off on the lead, a length in front. Love to Win on his tail running in the 2nd spot. Tropical Storm dives to the rail, takes 3rd around the far turn clearly. Now Colt Fiction gets a giddy-up reminder. He claims the 3rd spot from Tropical Storm back and forth. A length back to Trigger Happy, then Lycan and Solidify as they round the far turn. Jackman seeking his 3rd win in a row. He's still on top. Here's Colt Fiction, the 2nd choice in the wagering, trying to move forward. Love to Win gives way between horses down the lane. Jackman is now asked to finish. Colt Fiction 2nd with Love to Win, and then Tropical Storm with a furlong to go. Jackman's going strong, and he's put 3 lengths on his rivals with a 16th left. Jackman, red hot for the Carl Broberg barn. It's Jackman, much the best. Colt Fiction and a photo for 2nd with Tropic Storm, and Love to Win ran 4th.
Easy time of it for Jackman, who's won 3 in a row now. His win machine just racked up the 11th of his career.
And he hits the board, with a high percentage, over 70%. He's now hit the board in 25 of 36 starts. You could just see the rider Torres just sitting on him. They came to the top of the stretch. It felt like Colt Fiction making a run, but it's a little of an illusion. Once he set this horse down, galloped.
3-2 looked like the 8 there. Tropic Storm, big price on that one, 3rd. As we take you back to the Busanda, and it's Gin Gin Picture Time. Winner Circle lead-in, brought to you by the Fasig-Tipton Kentucky Winter Mix Sale, taking place on February 5th and 6th in Lexington, Kentucky. Where will you be? And Gin Gin stepping up and getting by Princess Mayfair for the win, the big favorite. A non-threatening 3rd at 4-5. Let's head downstairs to Mig.
Trevor, you really worked out a beautiful trip with Gin Gin. Took advantage of that inside post, saving all the ground. But it looks like, you want to be off the rail today. And when you were able to get out from the inside, she really kind of kicked in for you.
Yeah, the rail is not really the best place to be. I was a little worried about that draw on the post. But watching the replays, it just seemed that she always breaks good. And they're kind of a little passive with her. So I thought, hey, from the one hole, I'll let her break good like she always does and place herself. And she got in a great position. She down the backside, she was able to get off the rail a little bit. And I was able to follow Lascano all the way around there. And when he kind of didn't have any horse and Dylan was still out there cruising, I was able to kind of get through and get back outside. And this filly gave me a game effort. And she was kind of floating a little bit the last 16th of a mile when I needed her the most. She was still a little green, but when Dylan kind of came back to give me some company, she dropped her head again. So just all credit to the barn to have her ready. And, it was a big win today.
Well, terrific trip, terrific ride. Congratulations.
Thanks, Rich.
Guys?
All right, you said earlier you're happy for him. Good to see him have success puts a lot into this game.
He's a very, very good rider, and he had a terrific winter here 2 years ago. And unfortunately, he was in that accident in late November of 2022, and he missed pretty much the entire winter. And that's the time for a guy like Trevor to really get a chance to do well around here. And when you have that kind of injury, you're out for 3 months. It takes you a long time to get back. You don't have the same kind of business. And I'm glad he's getting the chances now, and he's showing that he's a very, very good rider. Good guy. I'm a fan of Trevor. He's a thoughtful rider as well, and I'm glad to see him doing well, and I think he could have another very good winter. I hope so.
Big opportunity to ride for that barn and deliver for Brad Cox in the Busanda. We're going to take you back to Tampa Bay when we return from this timeout. Have the Gasparilla and the Pasco still to come, but first up, it's the Wayward Lass Fillies and Mares, mile and a 16th, and a field of 6 when we return on our FS2 coverage. Back with you on America's Day at the Races. Where's Andy Serling? Let me at him. Program brought to you in part by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. And get that $200 deposit match. Sign up. I've never seen him active before. He's usually just hanging out by the infield lake.
He's showing off for us.
Wow.
He likes Acacia. He's going to see Acacia.
Wayward Lass is coming up as we kick off stakes action at Tampa Bay. Mile and 16, Fillies and Mares in this spot. And Libin Safi Joseph Jr. trying to make it 3 in a row since stretching out. We'll see if this one can get it done to keep that streak alive. An historic year as we go to Acacia Clement for female trainers, but someone who's been doing it for more than 4 decades under the radar at Tampa Bay. It continues to be going strong and has a contender coming up in this race, Acacia.
That's right, Greg. Kathleen O'Connell, last year when I was here at Tampa, I got a chance to sit down with her when she broke the record to become North America's all-time winningest female trainer. And she's had a tremendous career, including starting off the careers of some of the biggest horses we've seen in graded stakes, including the likes of Lady Shipman. Kathleen O'Connell with 2,445 wins, but Linda Rice hot on her heels with 2,411. And Linda, as we know, having a tremendous year as well, breaking breaking records at NYRA. And when I got a chance to speak last year to Kathleen, she said, this is a milestone, a number that I had always hoped to achieve as I got closer, but it's one that's meant to be broken, meaning she hopes that we see more and more female trainers surpass that number, and it seems like it's only a matter of time until just that takes place. But as far as Kathleen's horse in here, the Ford Dream Concert, we saw her up at Saratoga sprinting on the turf, and while there is a little bit of turf pedigree, she's obviously a dirt horse. She's never gone further than 7 furlongs, but she has a very long tubular type of frame. Physically, she actually looks like she wants to go a little bit longer, and she has filled out. I don't know if she wants to go quite this far, and she seems to appreciate kind of having her head and going quick, but she'll have to deal with the early speed of the number 2, Libin, who does look like she'll try to control things. She's sharp from the inside. She's also stronger than when I saw her 2 starts back, her first start off the layoff for Saffie Joseph Jr., and she's in great form right now. A lovely solo warm-up with Edgar Zayas, and finally the 6, Magical Loot. I thought that she actually ran okay last time. Her problem is that she just doesn't really seem to show much out of the gate and kind of plops out a bit. So hopefully Sammy Camacho, who warmed her up pretty aggressively out there, can kind of get her into the flow of the race a little bit earlier. Greg, looking forward to the Wayward Last coming up next.
All right, KO, Kathleen O'Connell with Dream Concert. Blinkers coming off, stretching out in distance, and first time going 2 turns. But it's Libin for Saffie Joseph, the favorite.
I bet the 1 to wire the field.
Jason Beam, the call with a Wayward Last from Tampa Bay.
Looks like Edgard going to climb back on board here. Actually, Edgard going out the back of the gate there. Looks like we might have a slight delay here as he's going under the rail there to take a seat.
So, yeah, you see that rider off there has gone behind that temporary railing there on the grass. Looks like being tended to. Didn't quite see what happened.
What horse? What rider?
I believe it's Centeno, but we'll try and get clarification on that.
Oh, Daniel
No,
Centeno.
it is not Centeno. My mistake. The rider of the 2, Edgar Zayas. So in a holding pattern here, and that is the rider of the 9-5 favorite. It's being looked at.
Should we discuss our 7th at Aqueduct a little while we have an hour for this to get sorted out?
All right, so
it's going to be a while.
Back everyone out, and hopefully everything okay with Zayas. That's our most immediate concern. The horse looks to be fine. We see being paraded around here with the rest of this group, but Zayas, yes, still on that infield turf as we take you back to New York. And the 7th next, 6.5 furlongs, and this New York bred first allowance condition coming up, and here's the 9-5 favorite, 10 Cent Town. Dutrow Barn off the claim, and he has Jose Gomez aboard.
I don't imagine there's a morning line maker in the galaxy that could have imagined this horse would not only be favored, but a substantial favorite in here. This is a horse that on the PPs is not particularly competitive, and that's probably being nice. Now, listen, I picked this horse 3rd because it was claimed by Rick Dutrow for owner Michael Dubb, and they're a very sharp team together. So this horse is taking money because of that claim by Dutrow, because on his PPs, he's not even remotely competitive in here.
It is strange. As we take a look at the 9, Saffalo's Mission for Linda Rice, one of those female trainers that had an historic year last year, setting the new record for wins on the NYRA circuit with 165 in 2023. What about Saffalo's Mission? Off since early August and has had a lot of opportunities at this condition.
It's my top choice, but much like Agility, who's 1 for 16 with 6 seconds, this horse is 1 for 15 with 9 seconds and thirds. He doesn't win. I do think a lot like last week's winner, Joey Freshwater for Linda Rice, she gave a horse a needed freshening. This horse has been running pretty much for a year plus a year and a half straight. The horse needed some time off, so I think the horse will benefit. I like the 9 and 5 in this race the most.
All right, so back to Tampa, and as you see, loading back up here in the Wayward Lass, and wow, what a switch. Kathleen O'Connell's Dream Concert, the 4, has become the favorite.
I still think the one's going to wire the field.
Jason Beam, the call.
Here's Magical Loot. Sammy Camacho to the outside draw. Goes in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Good start for Libin, who heads out to the early advantage. Dream Concert going to try to go with that one, and those two 1-2 by the wire the first time round. She's My Warrior, content to drop in behind the top pair back in third. Opus 42 moves to her inside from fourth. Then comes Soul of an Angel and Magical Loot. But it is Libin who makes it to the turn just in front. Opus 42 sneaking through down along the inside, saving some ground as Dream Concert now back a joint second along with that one as they go midway on that first turn. She's My Warrior settles back in fourth, about 3.5, 4 off the top. And Magical Loot, Soul of an Angel, those two share the back. They wheel on to the back stretch. 24 seconds for that opening quarter-mile time, and it is Libin. Opus 42 continues to tug closer down along the inside, now draws within a half a length. Meanwhile, Dream Concert continues out in the clear, is third right now, just a length off the top and cruising nicely. It's another 2 lengths then. Back to Magical Loot, who advances outside of She's My Warrior, who's now back fifth, and it's 4 more back to Soul of an Angel. They have a half mile left to go in the Wayward Lass. Libin has made every yard thus far. 48-1 the time for the opening half mile. It's Libin by a half length. Dream Concert continues to cruise nicely up second. Opus 42 now 2 lengths back in third. Magical Loot starts to move into contention. For her outside is 4, just 2.5 off the top. It's 5 more back to the other pair. Libin's in deep water now. Dream Concert. Here's Magical Loot swooping up on the outside. Opus 42 looks to have some run, is just waiting in behind as Dream Concert takes over. Magical Loot on the outside. Now Opus 42 going to swing to the outside. Libin still pitching away. Soul of an Angel's made up some good ground down toward the inside, is not without a chance. Final furlong left to go. It's now Dream Concert in front. Libin digging into the inside. Magical Loot on the outside. These 3 across the course. Opus 42 is charging late. Dream Concert just in front. Here's Opus 42 leveling off on the outside. Opus 42 getting up to win the Wayward Last. Dream Concert was second. Third might have been Magical Loot over Libin. And fifth was Soul of an Angel.
Opus 42 circles basically this entire group here in this stretch to get the win pretty convincingly.
She was much the best in here. I'm not really sure why she got such an unaggressive ride, but she got the job done, got into a jackpot, and had to circle around horses. But when she got in the clear, she motored by a horse who had actually beaten Saddle Up Jesse 2 races back. And we saw Saddle Up Jesse take a tough beat in the ladies here at Aqueduct last week.
Good call. Looked like she was going to win that race. Back to New York. And a look at the Linda Rice runner, Safalo's Mission. 7-1 right now. Let's bring in Jonathan for more.
Yeah, we're a little hot and heavy here on America's Day at the Races, so I'm going to throw 3 picks at you. So if you care, get out a piece of paper. If you don't care, then don't care. I'm going to go with the 9, Safalo's Mission here at Aqueduct Race 7, drawn towards the outside. A horse I think will appreciate the 6.5. It's a sneaky little distance. We've talked about it on the show before. I like horses drawn outside that are closing. The way the track's been playing, I don't have a problem with that trip at all. In Oaklawn, Race 5. I lost my place there. I am on the 2. Common Defense. Sorry, I got a little lost there. Common Defense is one that I like. And then Tampa Race 7, the 6, Gorgeous Girl. A lot of action here on America's Day at the races.
All right, next 3 races coming up. I think Gorgeous Girl had a very tough trip in that Tampa Bay race. I got bounced around like a pinball last time out and still ran very good late. That's coming up in the Gasparilla in race 7 next.
Gorgeous Girl?
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's a tough race because the favorite and way the horse to beat is a synthetic horse, but was heavily favored in debut on the dirt, and something went wrong. If Mystic Late handles the dirt, she's going to probably win.
Here is our post parade for the 7th at Aqueduct, Agility, trained by Fernando Abreu.
Yeah, another that doesn't win, but is second off a layoff and is an awfully big price for a horse that's clearly fast enough to get it done.
Lots of speed with the 2 Warlow.
Yeah, she's taking a lot of money right now and ran pretty gamely. I just think this is a much tougher spot, and the pace figures to be at least honest.
Wow, still favored. 10 cent down for Dutrow.
Oh, well, she's going to be favored. I mean, she's favored, heavily favored in all the multi-race bets as well, and they're betting the source on the claim. Rick Dutrow for Mike Dubb.
Big debut for Please Be Nice was 3-5. Next time out, did not run much.
Yeah, I rode a gold rail first time out. Something went wrong. It's been a long layoff. I didn't like this horse, but at that price, if you like her, I would never talk you off him.
Quick to accuse. Will cut back in distance.
I think he's very dangerous. Dead rail last time out at a big price. I think he's a player and a big price.
Another Bilmont runner, Kid Billy, who won his debut.
He did, but I just thought he was a little light in this race and not quite good enough.
Doc Advantage, big price at 25-1.
Yeah, he's not bad, but his racer at Finger Lakes never run at Aqueduct before.
I like the appearance from Safalo's Mission, 5-1 for Linda Rice.
Yeah, I like the outside post, but he's not a winning type. At 5-1, I'm going to bet a few dollars. I'm with Jonathan. He's my top choice. But I played exactas. I used him with the 1, 3, and 5 in this race, and mostly the 5. I'm trying to get a 5-9, 9-5 home here.
2 minutes to post in the 7th coming up. Want to remind everyone, free money in your account. You can get a $20 bonus by playing with Naira Bets. Bet $100 each on Aqueduct and Oaklawn Park. And you get $20 whether you win or lose. Got to opt in to take advantage. A decent appearance from this one as well. Who is your favorite? Let's get Mig's take as we head downstairs.
Yeah, guys, looking at these horses, you're talking about the 3 first, 10-cent town. He's taking all the money, first time off the Dutrow claim. Looks terrific in the paddock. He's a horse, though, that seems to have a little bit of trouble leaving the starting gate. A couple races where he stumbled. In fact, lost Dylan Davis a few starts back when he stumbled. And a lot of times that has to do with a horse that, is just shuffling their feet or not standing up 100%, straight and balanced in the gate. So it is something to keep an eye on and something to honestly be a bit concerned about. The 4, Please Be Nice, would be my top selection. He is coming off of a layoff, but he looks extremely fit to me. He's already shown to be very proficient on an off-track, breaking his maiden by better than 10 lengths on off-going. And he was the one that just stood out to me in the paddock, and I continued to like what I saw as he warmed up on the racetrack. The other Bilmont trainee, Kid Billy, nice impression as well. He's kind of an interesting-looking horse. I wonder if at some point they won't try the turf on him. He's kind of got that wide, flatter foot, but the one that really stood out to me was number 4. Please Be Nice. Andy?
That her name has nothing to do with me, Richie, and I'm insulted by your implication.
It's up for debate. 4-1. Look, this horse got that big buyer number in the debut. It was on a muddy track, which we have today for what that's worth, but then just really disappointed at a short price. First time against winners.
Yeah, my problem with his debut is it's dressed up by a track bias. So that's my concern. And if anybody's betting him on that race because it was a muddy track, it was a muddy Harrow track, it was a very different track than he's on today. Listen, he's 4-1. If you like him, you should bet him. I don't particularly like him. I'm not going to be shocked if he wins. In fact, if I lose, he'd be the one most likely to beat me. But I just think there's many more interesting horses. And listen, we have to talk about the 3 10-cent town. So there's won a race at Saratoga, that wasn't a particularly impressive win against a subpar field. Chased a pace that was honest last time, but was losing to horses like Clubhouse that would be a huge price in this race. He with a perfect trip. He ran 3rd in a much inferior race earlier today. But when you see an owner like Michael Dubb, who's had so much success, one of the most successful claiming owners in the game over the last, 25, 30 years, and he used Rick Dutrow in the past. He goes to Rick. Rick has been doing very well, so got back in the game, and they claimed this horse. This is a horse that if it was just betting horses based on their PPs, Greg, what price would he be here? 8-10-1? 12-1? If you didn't, and I'm not saying he's not going to win. I picked him 3rd. I saw the same thing other people saw. The problem is you're not getting paid at 5-2. You're not. It's just, that's an underlay.
Oh, no question.
Yeah, it's just hard to say, well, I just think he's going to win because these things. I mean, that's not what handicapping and betting is about. It's about trying to have some idea of. And listen, it's a fool's errand to say this horse is a 27% chance to win without doing a very complicated regression analysis. But you can have an idea what a fair price is, and I have a hard time believing anybody looks at 10-cent town and goes, "Yeah, he looks fair 2-1 to me."
Been favored throughout, even though a couple of tries, and he had bad starts in both those. If he can get out clean, at least get a fair shake and see what he can do at this level.
He's got to improve for Rick. bottom line.
Chris Griffin, the call.
And they're up. Please Be Nice breaks well from in between horses, and there's 10 Cent Town. 10 Cent Town with the neck in front. Please Be Nice right to the outside. We'll stalk this pace setter at the rail. It's agility moving on through. Those are the top three. Just off of them, Warallo is settled into the 4th position. Following that, Rival comes quick to accuse. Up on the far outside, Cephalo's Mission trying to make up some ground with Doc Advantage second to last. And the trailer is Kid Billy. 10 Cent Town is the leader. It's 10 Cent Town. Jose Gomez there in front, 22-3 for the opening quarter mile with 4 furlongs left to travel, doing it nicely so far. In between horses, being asked the question is Please Be Nice, not cutting the margin yet. Warallo has made up some nice ground, is now taken second. At the rail, it's agility, is dropping back as Please Be Nice is back to 4th. Moving up, Cephalo's Mission is right there with Quick to Accuse. They travel as a pair from the back. Doc Advantage on the trailer, Kid Billy. 46 seconds flat for the half-mile time, and 10 Cent Town is in hand. Warallo is all in. 10 Cent Town has not been asked, now gets asked the question. Warallo is ready to pounce right to the outside, and the front two separate from the rest of the field. Cephalo's Mission, Quick to Accuse. They're trying to run on, but the top two have got it inside the final furlong. It's 10 Cent Town, very game down towards the inside, and now 10 Cent Town is back up by a length. It's 10 Cent Town who wins it. 10 Cent Town. Then Warallo was second. Quick to Accuse, Cephalo's Mission, and Doc Advantage. In 1 minute 16 and 3.
10 Cent Town, when he broke as sharp as he did, pretty good inkling it was going to be his day.
Yeah, the public got this one very right. Warallo's another horse, a little surprising at 7-2, to be honest, in here. And Chris Engelhart's horse has been running very well. But they knew. They knew this horse was going to improve, and frequently in these situations, too, and these were the first two choices as well, these horses will show speed. I mean, not that he didn't have some speed going in, but they telegraphed this one, that's for sure.
Back down to 2-1 at post time, but did go off. Your favorite was 6-1 morning line. Had been in this condition, granted for a different barn, at 10-1 and 9-2. In 2 of the last 3 starts. Today off as the 2-1 favorite and gets the win. 3-2, 5-9. And this barn continues to roll after being gone for a decade in this game.
But you got $6. After the race, I guess it seems like a lot. I'm sorry. It's tough to take horses like this, for me at least, at 2-1. Not surprised he won, but not for me at that price.
Back in the Wayward Lass, Opus 42, who had a win 2-back gate to wire at Laurel, wanted no part of the lead in this race, dropped back, circled just about this entire group here in the stretch to get the win.
Yeah, this horse was much the best. I mean, had a very good trip until the stretch, but to sort of get shuffled back like that and have to get the outside. But once she got the outside, I mean, just inhaled this field.
No question. She was much best in this spot. 4th win from 11 starts for this 4-year-old filly by Mendelssohn. Arnaud Delacour trains, and Daniel Centeno aboard for the win. 1-4-6-2 here in the Wayward Lass, with 2 more stakes to come up next. The Gasparilla for 3-year-old fillies. We'll get to that momentarily. It's back to Oaklawn for race 5 as we take a look at the current odds there. Maiden special weight, 2-turn mile coming up. Let's go to Paulie.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, this closes out the early pick 5, and the next race will start the late pick 5, 10 race card here at Oaklawn. And remember, this is a 2-turn mile, but it ends at the first pole here, so the short stretch in here. And when you look at at least the tote board right now, the 2 is the horse to beat in here. I agree with Jonathan, common sense in here. 9-5, you want to take 9-5, but this is a horse that ran a good first time out at 10-1, gets Lasix in his second career start, obviously, and can't run without Lasix in this jurisdiction as 2, and these are all newly turned 3-year-olds. I mean, he's the bar in here, obviously. I also thought the 10 had a decent look in here at El Magnifico for Keith Asmussen and Steve Asmussen. Keith won a race earlier today. His younger brother, Eric, won his first career race last night at Sam Houston. So congratulations to Eric Asmussen, who gets his first W. So Asmussen is just winning everywhere. I think that's like 5 generations that have got it done. But, those are the 2 horses that the public's betting, and I get. the two horses that I thought were interesting were the inside and the outside horses, the two first-time starters. Elko County on the outside for Kenny McPeak has got some really good works back in December, early December, 47-2, a Bullet Drill, and he's kind of backed off to Son of Gunrunner. And then the one in here for Steve Aspen, kind of the same. You know, Sitka in here, a horse that's got some really, really sharp works, fast works. And if you know Steve Asmussen, he does not work his horses fast in the morning. They usually are more stamina type work. So I think the one might fire a big shot. Where I do think the 2 and the 10 are the horses to beat. I'm going to take a shot with the 1 on the inside here, Sitka, for Steve Asmussen. I think this horse has got a live shot.
All right, Paulie, thanks. There's a few ways to go in here, but right now the favorite, yeah, Common Defense for Kenny McPeak.
Obviously, the 2 and 10 are they've run, and 10's had chances, but I don't think you should ignore the money the 13 Elko County is taking. From that post, 5-1. I know as a gun runner, there was a half to Dennington, who was a nice 3-year-old. I think was 4th in the Lexington last year. Solid 3-year-old, 4-year-old now, but solid 3-year-old last year, and a gun runner. And this horse is getting bet.
Is it crazy to think, and I know a lot of times people say moving from these high power percentage barns elsewhere, a lot of times it's a negative, but Jacked was with Brad Cox. He at least ran good early in that dirt debut last time out. Now he's with Don Von Hemel, 45-1.
That's probably too big a price considering the race he ran last time. And the thing about this horse is I wouldn't bet him to win necessarily. I mean, it's a big price. If you want to bet him, you should bet him. There's not a horse he's getting the try or the super in 3rd or 4th can really blow it up. I think sometimes, you have to look at those wagers differently than just win betting. And I think a lot of times it's like a trainer. I once heard DRF at an expo, and the legendary Mike Maloney spoke, who's as sharp a player as there is in the game, and he was talking about betting tries and supers and talking about, trainers that don't really win with first-time starters. He was using Neil Hauer at the time as an example. He said, so a lot of time their firsters will be 30, 40-1, but they're great uses for 3rd and 4th and, supers, and he was talking about that, and it makes a lot of sense.
Meanwhile, one of the contenders that Paulie talked about stepping in right now, that 10 in those red silks, El Magnifico for the Asmussen barn, has his son Keith aboard. Shortens up from 1 mile and 16th last time out when he backed up a little bit as a beaten favorite. Major player here, son of Street Sense. But it's Common Defense. Start number 2 for McPeak, the favorite, with Christian Torres.
I bet Elko County.
Matt Dinnerman, the call from the 5th at Oaklawn.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this race starts and ends at the 16th pole. Justifiably So is loaded, working with Tell 'em I'm Coming. Tell 'em I'm Coming goes in. 2 back. Give Me Liberty. Into post 13, the firster, Elko County. Elko County, working with him to go in. We're ready to go. And Laroff, uneventful beginning. Sitka from the inside put into play. Common Defense second with Penrod in the early stages. Ask Willie alongside of that duo. Then comes Give Me Liberty behind the pace as they charge into the turn. A couple of them going wide. Elko County is one of them. Has dropped back to midfield. Charleston passed him, and Charleston's making up ground all the way into the 3rd position. Justifiably so. He's in midfield. 7 from the top. Coming back to the last pair. They're together at the rear. Native Land and Jacked as they make their way up the backstretch. Ask Willie was 3rd coming by us and approaching the backstretch run. He's on top on the inside. Ask Willie a neck in front. El Magnifico right there to press the issue. A 3-deep Charleston is there. Sitka aggressively ridden out of the gate. He's now in a pocket, stalking the pace 4th. Justifiably So joins him. Common Defense between them. A length to Give Me Liberty. Penrod is getting shuffled back, sent along already into the turn, joined by Native Land, who tries to pass rivals on the outside. Native Land still in midfield, but he's passed a couple. couple set along, but is moving around the turn. Then comes Tell 'em I'm Coming, jacked at the back. They round the forward turn. This race will end at the 16th pole. Remember, Charleston gives way, so does Ask Willie. El Magnifico finds himself in front, justifiably so, is right there too. Native Land in the career debut has run a massive race today, and Native Land has taken over. Common Defense is moving now, and even Give Me Liberty right behind them as they hit the furlong pole. Common Defense, Native Liberty 1-2, and Common Defense soars to the lead. Common Defense, Christian Torres with a hat trick, and we've still got 5 more races to go. Give Me Liberty outfinishes Native Land for the second spot, but Native Land in that debut ran a very, very valiant race, and 4th was El Magnifico in that 4th spot.
Kenny McPeak, second-time starter of the favorite, Common Defense, with Christian Torres having a big afternoon, as you heard from Matt Dinnerman, with the victory. While those prices, when we come back, we're going to kick off the cross-country Pick 5. When we return, it begins at Tampa Bay with the Gasparilla for 3-year-old fillies. And Mystic Lake getting back to dirt, trying to prove she can run on that surface.
Breeders' Cup champion Good Magic by Sire of Sires Curlin was the sire of first crop Kentucky Derby champion Mage, one of 3 Grade 1 winners to date, along with Muth and Blazing Sevens. In 2023, with just 2 crops to race, Good Magic ranked 21st on the general sire list with $9.5 million in earnings. 2-year-olds sold for up to $2 million, and yearlings sold for up to $725,000. Good Magic, the classic sire.
RaceLens is the most in-depth product in horse racing, with unique features found nowhere else. True odds, predictive analysis, and pace projection. RaceLens. It will change the way you follow horse racing and take your game to the next level.
They say breed the best to the best and hope for the best.
Vacoma broke well on the outside.
But you don't expect to get speed like this.
Is Vacoma the one to catch? Vacoma has a 5-length lead in this Grade 1 corner. Vacoma continues to battle on down at the rail. It is Vacoma who's going to win the Met Mile.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire.
RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back on America's Day at the Races on our FS2 coverage of the cross-country Pick 5, encompassing Tampa Bay, Aqueduct, and Oaklawn, beginning next with the Gasparilla Stakes for 3-year-old fillies, 7 furlongs at Tampa Bay. Jonathan Kinchin is going after it. Let's take a look at his ticket that he's put together.
Thanks, Wolfie. Yeah, let's get started here in the first leg. I'm going to use 2 horses. I'm going to use the 1 Mystic Lake that you mentioned going to break, and also the 6 Gorgeous Girl, who I thought was a little bit interesting. Don't quite trust Mystic Lake at a short price, drawing the inside at Tampa, historically not where you want to be. In the second leg, I'm going to spread in here. I'm going to use 3, 4, 6, 8, and 11. But I do want to say I do prefer the 8 and the 11 as like kind of the interesting types in here. The 8, Principe d'Oro, and the 11, Whittington Park. In the third leg, I'm going to use 3 horses. The 4, the Big Torpedo, the 5, Vinsanto, and the 7, Out of Waterbury. In the fourth leg, I'm going to single Bookham Dano. And then to wrap it up, 2, 6, and 11, the 2 Malibu Smart, the 6 Sicilian Grandma, and the 11 Pachanga Loca. Where's Lafitte when you need him?
$45 play from JK in that cross-country Pick 5 that is coming up very shortly. Get those tickets together. The 4-5 favorite is a filly on the inside whose only dirt start was a debut and did not show much on that surface. Let's go to Acacia for more.
Yeah, she's a bit of a head scratcher in here, Greg, talking about Mystic Lake breaking from the rail. And typically, while Saffie Joseph Jr. can, yes, get a first-time starter to win, I do like to see them after a race or two, so I am willing to be a little bit more forgiving about that first start from her. But interestingly enough, she's a Florida bred that has recently been running up at Woodbine on their Tapeta surface, and it's very intriguing that that's where he opted to run her with the string that he does keep up in Canada. But taking a look at recent efforts from her, she shows a lot of early speed, and it just does seem like that long stretch at Woodbine kind of does her in a little bit as she's not able to sustain at the end. I like that she's cutting back in distance. She's smaller. She's incredibly fit. She looks like 7/8 is perfect for her. I just wonder if she's able to transfer that form onto the main track here and what she can do breaking from the inside. But she's quick, and like I said, she does look like she should fit the bill, and I think we'll know pretty early on if she's traveling and handling things well. But the 5 Gervin's Princess, while she did take back last time out and was able to win, and I know she broke her maiden for $25,000. She's nowhere near the class of what the one Mystic Lake has been facing. She is really on her toes. She got a big warm-up. She's been touting herself from start to finish. I wonder if 7 furlongs is just a little bit of a stretch for her, but she looks like she is quick and has run on her mind today. An intriguing prospect, perhaps, at 6-1 underneath. And I'm with Jonathan. If you prefer maybe one that'll come from off of it, I think the other horse is the 6 Gorgeous Girl. She was so laid back when she first came into the paddock and then really perked up a lot once they got the tack on her, and was pretty spicy with the lead pony in the post parade as well. But she too looks like 7/8 is the perfect distance for her. She was not really well prepared last time out, thus the bumping at the break. So hopefully she's able to be balanced, keep her feet underneath of her at the start, and break just a little bit sharper. She'll have to be running down those quick horses late in the stretch, Greg.
Acacia, thanks. See what happens here. 1-2, and major question. Certainly talented, quick, coming out of a Group 3, but on synthetic for the favorite here. And you have to ask, can she handle dirt? Is it short price to take? Too short.
Yes, it's too short a price to take. And she overlays this field based on her fig. And I will say in her dirt debut, she was 7-5, and something seems to have gone wrong. But I don't care. You're talking about 1-2 shots. Your margin of error is very, very, very small. The 5 and 6 are the other horse in this race, and they're betting them as such. And you could probably do worse than to say, you know what, I'll take a shot at 1-2 and make a little 5-6 exacta box and just say, I'll bet against. And if you lose, and the one's the horse to beat, no one would deny that. But who knows? Dirt and synthetic, different services.
Let's go to Jason Beam for the Gasparilla Cross Country Pick 5. Starts here.
And the race is on in the Gasparilla Stakes. Good start for the favorite Mystic Lake, who shoots right out to the front at once. Quickly puts over a length on the field as Corinth was away in good order. And behind horses, Gorgeous Girl, the gray is right there third. And inside of her comes Runaway Diva. But it is going to be Mystic Lake to lead him on to the main track. 3/4 of a length in front now. Corinth in second. Gorgeous Girl in between horses. Runaway Diva also in between runners. As Delightful Summer down toward the fence is back 5th. It's another length then, back to Gervin's Princess in 6th. And 3 more back to Genuine Peril, who's 7th in the trailer. They have just over a half mile left to go, 22-4 for that opening quarter mile. Mystic Lake and Edgard Zayas taken past the half mile pole, a length and a half in front of a lineup of 3. Corinth down toward the inside, Delightful Summer, Runaway Diva between horses. Now Gervin's Princess starts to lift, has gone by Gorgeous Girl, who's dropped back a couple of spots, and at the back is Genuine Peril. They've all got to catch Mystic Lake. Mystic Lake midway around the far turn, in front by almost 2 now. Corinth running bravely in that second position. Then comes Gervin's Princess. Gorgeous Girl now starting to get back into the bit. Out 3 or 4 deep, trying to gain on this leader who's Mystic Lake. Mystic Lake arrives at the top of the stretch. The lead stretched out to 3 now. Gorgeous Girl up on the outside of Corinth. They're second and third. In behind them, Gervin's Princess. Nothing really materializing from the back. It's Mystic Lake at the furlong grounds. Mystic Lake a length and 3/4 in front. Corinth running a big one toward the inside. Then comes Gorgeous Girl. Mystic Lake still there with 100 yards left to go. Gorgeous Girl on the outside trying to rally up into second. Mystic Lake going to hold on though. Mystic Lake to win the Gasparilla. Gorgeous Girl was second. Corinth at 87-1 ran third. Genuine Peril, the stablemate, got up for 4th.
So she can handle dirt. Mystic Lake back on dirt for the first time since a debut that did not go well as a favorite, this time gate to wire.
Yeah, listen, you knew that she was the worst to beat in here. Nobody would deny that, but she won by 3/4 of a length at 1-2. It's not exactly winning like a 1-2 shot should. She found the right field to beat, and the 6 ran a funny race, Gorgeous Girl. She seemed like she was going to run last on the backstretch watching it, and then she sort of came again and rallied, and she was coming at the end, but she couldn't catch Mystic Lake.
Back to Aqueduct and the 8th on the card. 1 turn mile. Open company entry-level allowance race. 9-5 favorite. That is Mama's Gold for Chad Summers. Romero Mirage aboard. Let's go to Mig for more.
Yeah, guys, when I look at horses here in the paddock, I look at horses first, and then I look at my program. I don't want to go in with any preconceived notions about what I'm looking at. So obviously, if I'm looking at a horse that's, let's say, 8-5, it may lead me to like them more. So I try to form my opinions before I, confer with my program, and then obviously you're trying to line up what you see on paper to what you've already kind of liked about horses in the paddock. And of course, the first 2 horses that grabbed my attention the most were number 3, Expected Value, and number 4, Cascade, if I'm saying that properly. And then obviously you look down and the trained by Chad Brown, and it kind of makes sense that 2 horses that well turned out, hailing from that barn. They both, especially Expected Value coming off the layoff, look extremely fit. He's a horse that needs to take a step forward, but he's a 4-year-old now. And when we last saw him, he was a young 3-year-old. Him being a May foal, he actually wasn't even 3 when he made his last start back in May in the Bayshore, and I thought he ran very credible there. They both look outstanding, very well turned out. And the other horse that really caught my attention is number 6, Silo Ridge. Man, this horse really looks good. And honestly, this son of Ghost Saber, I think he's going to appreciate stretching out to the mile. I'll see if my opinion changes or anything really stands out as I watch him warm up, because as we know, sometimes something you see or don't see in the paddock either elevates or, goes the other way once you see them on the racetrack. But these were the 3 that really stood out here in the paddock.
6 minutes, 6 minutes to post here in this 8th coming up. Get to the post parade in a moment. Let's check in with JK.
My graphic is going to match Lee Einsiedler's Silks here in a second, I think. I think it seems that accidentally I just like the 8 horse a lot here in this little 15-minute span. Yep, there it is, all these 8s. We'll get started here at Aqueduct. I'm going to go with the 8, Principe d'Oro. What a pedigree with this horse, right? Out of one of my favorite horses of all time, Dame Dorothy, owned by Bobby Flay. She was such a cool horse. This one probably hasn't lived up to the hype, but still does have some talent. I'll be interested to see what they do in Linda's barn. And then over at Oaklawn, the 8 Stormy Pattern ran well last time for Mike Maker and just feels like was kind of getting going a little bit. And then Mike just stopped on the horse. Maybe it was a little bit of an issue, or maybe it was just kind of a refresher. Like, we got him right now. Let's kind of let him let his hair down a little bit and see if he can't give us a big 2024. I like where he's drawn, and last I looked, a nice price on the board. And then back at Tampa Bay, I'm going to go with the 8 Mercy Warren towards the outside there. At Tampa, historically, it's not always, but just historically, being down on the inside, not exactly where you want to be. I always give horses that are drawn towards the outside a little bit of an upgrade. And with this horse going from 7 furlongs to 6, the pace figures suggest that cutback should be appreciated by this mare.
Mercy Warren's interesting. She's made 15 starts in her career. She ran one race, just one, beginning of 2023, that might have won the Breeders' Cup Sprint. It was so fast, according to Thorograph anyway. Never run it before, never run it since, hasn't come close.
Sealed track. Yeah, that's a weird race. 93 buyer.
Meanwhile, Mystic Lake and the Gasparilla showing dirt, not a problem for her.
Yeah. Well, she was the controlling speed, which also helped. Obviously, something went wrong in her debut, and she got it done. I wouldn't call it a scintillating victory, but she got the job done. A lot of people leaned on her in multi-race bets, and they were successful.
And defeat, I like this effort from the 6, trying to chase a lone speed.
She ran fine, yeah, I agree.
But it's Mystic Lake, Saffie Joseph Jr., Edgar Zayas, and a filly by Motown, who picks up the 2nd win of her career, first on dirt. Here in the Gasparilla, we'll get to the Pasco in a little bit. The 8th, of course, preceding that as we're back to New York. Here's Certified Lover Boy, Katie Davis for Ray Handel.
Yeah, she's been, she's a new he's a new gelding coming into this race. He'd have to move forward.
Chad Brown trains Expected Value, 1 of 2 for him in here.
Well, if the race comes apart, and we've seen Speed do well recently, he'll be coming at the end.
Cash Kais for the Brown Barn as well with Dylan Davis.
Should be forward. Can he rate a little bit and get it done? I think he's the horse to beat and supposed to be favored.
Speaking of Leon Seidler, Silo Ridge for Bill Mott.
His race 2 back when second digitized would make him a player in here. I didn't think he ran as well last time out.
Principe Doro, Linda Rice taking over from Todd Pletcher.
Another horse who's got a lot of speed and a pace race filled with speed. I thought he was a player.
Mama's Gold, talking about a horse who had a one-race standout. This horse did to break his maiden.
I think
some time ago.
He's one of the most ridiculous favorites I've ever seen. He won on a souped-up track last time, going 1 mile and 1/8. He's facing good horses with a lot of speed. In my opinion, he's one of the worst favorites I've seen in quite a while.
99 Buyer. He did it again after that maiden win about 7 starts prior. Whittington Park, the 11 at 6-1.
I'm hoping he gets the pace to run at. He's my top choice in here. He is going to get pace to run at. I'm a little concerned the track has been changing and we're not seeing horses make real moves, but maybe it had been logical types getting it done. I've used them in exactas with the 8, the 4, and a little 3.
And for the horse who's a 2-1 favorite, trying to make it 4 wins in a row, does have 3 wins and 4 tries on off tracks. And there's just those 2 races that stand out. Somehow everyone knew this horse was going to produce that out-of-this-world performance when he got a 96 Buyer. He was 2-5 that day. And then, 9 starts later, 99 Buyer last time out. He's 9-5 right now. Let's go to Mig.
Yeah, guys, 2 of the horses that stood out in the paddock continue to stand out to me on the racetrack, starting with the 4, Cascade. Just a big, solid son of Into Mischief, and it's something we've come to expect from the Into Mischiefs, and obviously a horse from the Chad Brown barn. The 6-horse Silo Ridge ultimately will be my top selection. I really think this horse is going to appreciate stretching the mile. He's making an incredible impression on me in the warm-up, as is the 4, but I landed on the 6 Silo Ridge. And just getting back to the 10-horse, Mama's Gold, this is a horse that's just better off going faster. Some people think you put a horse that has speed on the lead and then you go as slow as you can and you walk the dog. This is a horse that doesn't change gears. He's better going quicker than slower. And from the outside, it seems like Romero Mirage knows how to ride him. He should be bouncing along, but I'm going with number 6, Silo Ridge.
All right, 6-1, Mig. Thank you on Silo Ridge, the 6 for Mott. Trying to make it back-to-back wins, and we'll stretch out here after that maiden score at 6.5 furlongs.
Yeah, I didn't like his last race, but, maybe he needed it off the layoff and could improve. It was off a 3+ month layoff. He had a perfect trip that day. Didn't like how horses came out of that race and ran. But, listen, I don't think he's impossible. I mean, I'd rather bet him at 6-1 than the 10. I'm mystified as to why. I mean, this horse, his prior 2 races before his last race are not competitive with these. And last time out was just a bias-aided victory that just makes him look a lot better than he is. These are the kind of horses I live to bet against, to be honest with you, Mama's Gold. Doesn't mean I'm going to be right. Sometimes you bet against them, you have a strong opinion, and you're wrong. And, I'm not exactly lighting it up over the last few days, but I think you're really supposed to go in here against Mama's Gold, whatever you do.
Look at that progression with the last 4 starts. Second beat a nose, then 3 wins for the 10. 69 Buyer, 77, 83, and then 99. But obviously, as you said, on an aided track last start.
And I think he was bias-aided a bit 2 races back as well. So I think he's a horse that's really gotten very beneficial circumstances. This is a very strong field he's running against. These are some solid type runners, and I think he's going to have to run better than he's, in my opinion, better than he's actually ever run. I think his last race is dressed up by circumstance. One of these exaggerated performances, much like the winner of the Cigar Mile, and he's a very nice horse, and I wouldn't compare these 2 horses. A much better horse than this one, but his Cigar Mile was. He's a beneficiary of great circumstance, the way the track was playing. It produces exaggerated results.
Whittington Park on the outside, another player at 5-1. Kenner Carmouche for Jeremiah Engelhart. 2 of his 4 wins have come on this surface. And he'll cut back in distance as well for his 5-year-old debut coming up. There's the Leon Seidler runner for Bill Mott, who Mig likes with Jose Lascano, Silo Ridge. We're set for the 8th. We go upstairs to Chris Griffin for the call.
Park. Mama's Gold. Goes in. Whittington Park is in. All set. And they're off. slow start for Expected Value, who's the early trailer. Cascais has got early speed, so does Silo Ridge. Towards the far outside, Mama's Gold is going to join them. That's the leading trio at the rail. Certified Lover Boy is in the orange cap in Whittington Park. Very strung out here early. Principe d'Oro is towards the back end of the field with slow starting Expected Value, who's at the back end of affairs. It's Mama's Gold and Silo Ridge, and these two speed off together 22-3 for the opening quarter mile. Pumped up opening quarter here. Cascais was taken off the early tempo, and Certified Lover Boy and Katie Davis, they've moved on through at the rail. They've secured a lone third. Cascais is back to fourth and shoved along from the back. Whittington Park and Principe d'Oro, they travel as a pair, and Expected Value still the trailer as they approach a half mile left to go at 8-5. Mama's Gold has got the lead and 45.44. Hot fractions up front. It's Mama's Gold who's got the lead. Silo Ridge is right there. Certified Lover Boy has just been in cruise control, and here comes Certified Lover Boy at 22-1. Certified Lover Boy is ranging up on the outside of the favorite Mama's Gold, who's asked the question. Certified Lover Boy right there. Principe d'Oro is making a run. Tips to the outside of Silo Ridge, but Certified Lover Boy has the top of the stretch, and Certified Lover Boy has the lead. Mama's Gold is coming right back. Whittington Park is weaving between rivals, and here comes Whittington Park, has got the seam. A tired long shot up front. Whittington Park is trying to make the split on the grandstand side. Silo Ridge is back for more, but Whittington Park is taking the lead. It's Whittington Park. Silo Ridge is not done. Whittington Park will get the victory. Whittington Park over Silo Ridge. Certified Lover Boy on a late run here from Expected Value to finish fourth in 1 minute 37.52 seconds.
Well, you could see Whittington Park starting to rev up around the turn. What a performance late to get this win under Kendrick Carmouche.
It's funny, he was closer than you might have expected early. They sped the pace up. He dropped back. Kendrick went a little bit at the inside, but then he got to the outside and he started running. He got a very good setup. I mean, let's face it. They were moving up front. Frankly, Mama's Gold, who I think finished fifth in here, didn't really run that badly when you consider how the race dynamics played out. Maybe he was fourth even in here. Fifth, actually. The three got fourth. But this horse, listen, sometimes on paper they look to get pace, and they do. Nice performance by our friend Leon Seiler's horse, who Richie likes, Silo Ridge. But at the end of the day, he got the pace, he got it done.
5-1, over 6-1, over 22-1 for a moment. It looked like this huge long shot. Katie Davis on Certified Lover Boy was going to shock everybody in this field. And there's, in the end, this one too good here. Kendrick Carmouche waving to the crowds. Whittington Park picks up the fifth win of this 5-year-old's career for trainer Jeremiah Engelhardt now.
Yeah, and came off the layoff. And, this is a perfect example of something we talk about also, Greg. This is a deep closing type, more suited to the one-turn miles where the paces can be very fast, right? And obviously got an unusually fast pace here. And frankly, Mama's Gold ran better than we expected running fifth in here when you consider how fast he ran and how much tougher the competition. The only surprise with him was for some reason he was 8-5.
Kendrick for the Engelhardt Barn, 10-stripe racing. In those black and purple silks. Picture time. We'll have the prices when we come back. You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2. Good to have you with us as we get set for race 6 at Oaklawn, brought to you in part where you can play it all. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Go to NyraBets.com to get signed up and started. Late pick 5 in Hot Springs begins with this race, $62,000 claiming 2-turn mile. Let's go to Paula Duca.
Yeah, Greg, and we have a little news before we start the late pick 5. Oaklawn Racing has decided to cancel racing for tomorrow. There's obviously a winter storm coming in, and you know they were supposed to get about 4 to 6 inches of snow maybe tomorrow night on into Monday morning. You know, they weren't able to really train over the track early this morning because of the freezing temperatures, and they're a little bit worried about that tomorrow to try to preserve the racetrack, even though it's going to be like in the 20s or so, but then it's going to get into the teens on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and they're kind of worried that the racetrack might get closed on those 3 days, and they might miss 4 days of training. So I think they're trying to prep the racetrack tomorrow where it's kind of not going to snow till late evening to maybe get it ready for next week, and hopefully we'll have racing next week. So there's no racing tomorrow due to the frigid temperatures. To get to this race, this will be the last pick 5 of the weekend here at Oaklawn Park, and you know they're focusing on the 7 here. Frosted Grace comes out of a good race at Fairgrounds for Robertino Diodoro. This is one of the few that he's had, if not the only one that I've seen come in from Fairgrounds, ran a bang-up race, just got beat by Money Supplies, came back to win. So a nice little runner in here. And then Ethical Judgment, the 6, I thought had a look in here at 6-1. There were some others in here as well. Perfect Flight for Peter Miller, and even the 10 on the outside for Chris Hartman. But I do think the race runs through the 7, Frosted Grace, as your favorite to start the late pick 5.
Yeah, 6-5. Thank you, Paulie. Frosted Grace, Robertino Diodoro barn, one of the best claimers certainly on that circuit, but one of the top claiming trainers in the country. It's a 9-time winner, this 8-year-old who is still in very sharp form. Matt Dinnerman with the call here to kick off this late pick 5.
An uninvited guest. And remember, right where we're starting, we're going to end it going a mile just like the last race. Race 5, we should say. One back. Uninvited guest. We're ready to go. And Laroff. Pat's Property up on the pace, snatches the lead and clears off a length and a half in the first furlong. Shooters Shoot runs in the second spot. Ethical Judgment 3 deep, while Perfect Flight is on a snug hold down at the rail. A little bit eager, but he's behind the speed today on the fence. Then the favorite, Frosted Grace on the outside of Ethical Judgment. They're together. Expensive Cut is down on the fence. Stormy Pattern alongside of him. Search Engine tapping off of heels. He's third last now. Uninvited Guest second to last. Greener Pastures at the rear. Pretty compact group. 8 lengths from 1st to 10th as they make their way up the backstretch. The long shot Pat's Property is setting that pace, a length and a tail ahead. Shooters Shoot in a good gallop second with Ethical Judgment. Then Perfect Flight, he's more settled down on the fence with Frosted Grace. They're side by side, both runners with the jockeys sporting the pink silks. They're 4 behind as a pair, a length and a half to Stormy Pattern. Expensive Cut already sent along down at the rail. Uninvited Guest is getting closer in the yellow. There goes Uninvited Guest into the 6th position, entering the 4-turn run and coming back to Search Engine. Greener Pastures has dropped out of it. Around the 4th turn, Pat's Property still going pretty well on the front end. He's 14-1 as the ears pricked. A half length in front. Shooters Shoot in an all-out drive second. Now Perfect Flight gets the cue. He's got some run behind horses. On the outside, Frosted Grace, he's in the clear off the turn. Pat's Property needs to deal with Frosted Grace, who moves up alongside Frosted Grace. Pat's Property side by side. Frosted Grace to the lead. Frosted Grace, Ramon Vasquez get it done by a length and a tail. Pat's Property, game effort, but second best today. Then Perfect Flight, Ethical Judgment, 4th across the line.
It's a former graded stakes winner, winning in a $62,000 claiming race. Frosted Grace for Robertino Diodoro with Ramon Vasquez the win.
Yeah, a very logical horse in this race, as you say, was dropping down and run against tougher horses early in his career. Caught a sloppy track, but also lost a Money Supply, who's what, 4 of his last 5 races. Had a big win here at Oaklawn last week. So, I mean, he's just a very logical horse. That's why he was 3-2.
We'll be back. Prices from that race when we return. Stakes action still ahead at Oaklawn and at Tampa. We still have the Pasco to come up next. It's the 8th. And it's Nightcap at 3 there in the background, who's their current favorite. Could be tough, has won 8 of her 17 career starts.
Flightline is in full flight. Flightline turns it on at the top of the stretch, and he's in cruise control.
And Flightline takes off!
Take a good look at this, because you're not going to see this too often, maybe never again. Flightline, 20 lengths clear.
World-class racehorse, world-class performance at a world championship event.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
DeMarchelier offers breeders a rare opportunity as the only son of Dubawi standing in Kentucky. Dubawi, one of the world's most celebrated stallions, is now a sire of sires. This son of Dubawi brings one of the world's most potent bloodlines to America. Now his first runners are hitting the track. DeMarchelier, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back with you on our FS2 coverage. He's settled down now. Guess he had his meal. Program brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race. Visit americasbestracing.net today. 8th next at Tampa Bay Downs. And this race in allowance optional claiming 6 furlong sprint coming up. Talked about the 3 going to break. Nightcap, still your favorite at 9-5. Let's go to Acacia for more.
She is, and as you mentioned, Greg, she's won quite a few of her races. My question with her, though, is does she still have those in there? Last year, or I should say even 2 years ago, she was running very quick races, and even last year ran quite well. And then her recent races in 2023 coming into now have just maybe not been as strong as you would have liked to see. I thought in her most recent race, she looked like she was really grinding and trying to hold on to finish 3rd by 4 lengths. But she does come back a relatively quick turnaround off of that, and hopefully should be able to build off of it for Gerald Bennett, who, as we know, always is perennial leading trainer down at Tampa Bay Downs, and always has his horses ready to roll. She's certainly fine. She's very fit. Physically, I was drawn, though, to a couple of others. The number 1 Awesome Pick makes her first start since October, and she's taking some money in here. She is quick, and she was one that when I saw her being down at Tampa last winter, she was always so rambunctious, so keyed up prior to her races. And while she was nicely on her toes and seemed well forward today, much more mentally mature and under wraps, coming back now as a 4-year-old filly. She's not the biggest, and I think that the 6 furlongs actually suits her quite well. What do you do with the 7? It's a keeper. I've always felt that shorter is better for her. Is dirt better for her? I don't know. Her dirt race 2 starts back, which is off the turf and going a mile, which I don't think she prefers. She really kind of flattened to finish 4th in there, just beating one other horse. And I guess it's maybe just an opportunity to see if she can handle it being down here in the winter where Tom Albertani does have horses based at Tampa. She looks tremendous. She's carried her weight great. As an 8-year-old mare, she's been remarkably consistent. So we'll see if she can handle this surface. I do just wonder at the age of 8 if the surface switch will wake her up a little bit. And just a very quick note as they go into the gate, the 2 hi, hello, how are you, is rubber bands on her hocks. That's something, an equipment that's not allowed in New York or several of the tracks. We can use them here at Tampa. The idea is for horses to kind of push out a little bit more so that their hind hocks will not rub together. So if you see that equipment, that's what that is, Greg.
All right, Acacia, thank you. That's with the 2, as you mentioned, who's 9-1 right now. Hi, hello, how are you? 4-year-old filly.
I'm good. Thanks for asking. Keisha's got a lot of stuff going on right now. She's got to watch this race. She's got a big race at Gulfstream coming up.
First-time starter?
Yeah.
Well, this race preceding what we're going to see coming up next, that's the Pasco. And you never know. We'll see if some of these 3-year-olds maybe step up, are impressive enough to move at least back. For West Saratoga's already on the Derby trail. He's 6th right now in Derby points. Bookham Dano has aspirations to go to the Saudi Derby for $1.5 million February 24th. That's their intended next target.
Really? All right. Okay.
So 2 very good ones going to be battling in that Pasco, which is coming up next. First things first, Nightcap the 3, the favorite here for the Gerald Bennett barn. And she's right. I mean, she has not been as good as she had been when she was 3 for 4 in 2022.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree. Just the 1 win last year. It feels like she's very dangerous in here. I don't know. I
thought Flagwoman the 4 is going to be tough as well.
I agree. That horse is a player also. I agree.
And let's not forget Mercy Warren. That's who J.K. liked. Had that 1 monster race on a wet track at Fairgrounds beginning of 2023. Has never reproduced it. We'll see what happens here. Jason Beam, the call.
In the gate. And the race is on. Good start for Flagwoman in the center, who bursts right out to the front. Mercy Warren was out in good order, so those 2, 1-2 through the opening strides. Awesome Pick in the red colors, driving through now to be 3rd. Just in behind that, Nightcap, the favorite, was out 4th, about 3 off the top. Jumeirah's right to her outside in 5th. It's a break of 2 more. Back to Hi, Hello, How Are You, who's 6th. It's a Keeper is 7th, and Passion for Treasure in the pink colors at the back early on, about 10 lengths off the leader. So they go past the half-mile pole. Flagwoman and Mercy Warren. Those 2 through an opening quarter in 22 and 2/5 seconds. Awesome Pick, Nightcap. They're right together 3rd and 4th, and now Nightcap, the favorite, starting to inch into contention on the outside. And here's Nightcap with a 3-wide sweep coming after the leaders. Around that far turn, Flagwoman, Mercy Warren. Nightcap out 3 deep, is working hard, trying to get to this leader, who's Flagwoman. Just in behind, Awesome Pick, going to take the shorter route home. Hi, Hello, How Are You? Scott into contention, is 5th in behind horses, going to wheel to the outside. They come into the straightaway now. Flagwoman, here's Nightcap right up alongside. These 2 by the 8th pole. Awesome Pick battles on toward the inside. Hi, Hello, How Are You? Is back and forth. Final 16 to go. Nightcap, Flagwoman, dead game on the inside. Hi, Hello, How Are You? Charging late. Nightcap just in front. Nightcap to win it. Second looked like Flagwoman over Hi, Hello, How Are You? Awesome Pick was 4th, but only beaten just over a length.
Nightcap able to get by a stubborn Flagwoman for the win, and showing the 6-year-old mare still has a little left in the tank.
8-5 favorite gets it done. Nice trip getting it done. Flagwoman ran well. A bit of an overlay at 6-1. Odd to look at it and see that this Flagwoman was 6-1 and It's a Keeper was 8-1. It's a Keeper could have been 88.
That's not shown much ability on a dirt surface. No, not at all. Back to New York and the Nightcap. And we have some drama potentially brewing.
Listen.
2 horses result in the pick 6 getting hit. Everything else a carryover. Who are they?
Just the 2 in on it. 1 ticket alive to that one. And I think about 4 or 5 alive to the Big Torpedo. Now, the Big Torpedo is the horse that was fouled in the infamous DQ that most people disagree with. But this was the one that was fouled and is way the horse to beat. But only the 4 and 2 covered. I think 264,000 is the carryover if neither of those horses win into tomorrow's card. But we wish you luck if you were alive.
Well, Mig, going to start with a horse on your screen right here. Let's head downstairs.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to talk about 4 horses that are coming out of the same race, starting with the 2 in on it, who exits the same race with Vinsanto and Dixie Farrow, as well as Malibu Margarita. Just looks really good. He's making a nice impression. He's a chestnut with blonde highlights, kind of a pretty kind of a horse. And listen, obviously pretty is as pretty does on the racetrack, but this is a horse that I think has shown steady improvement, put together 2 nice back-to-back efforts. I think he'll appreciate the turn back to a mile, as I do a few of these others coming out of the 1 1/8 race. The 5 Vinsanto, he looks terrific. You know, Bruce Brown's horses always carry good weight. They always look good in the coat, and this is no exception here. Vinsanto coming off a nice effort where he was able to set a very slow pace, and he hung on pretty gamely there. Malibu Margarita, I think he's the one that's going to appreciate the turn back to the mile from the 1 1/8 more than anybody else. Kind of relegated to that chasing position last time, and I just think the mile and getting Lasix for the first time, as are several of these others too, you know, being 3-year-olds now allowed to compete on Lasix. Dixie Farrow also coming out of that common race. You know, I thought last time he didn't get the greatest trip for a young horse. I thought that, you know, maybe he could have gotten to the clear. You're not counting on horses to really finish, you know, young horses going a 1 1/8. You know, and I think maybe if he had been able to get out of the kickback and build into a little momentum, might have been a little bit of a different outcome last time. And then down to the Big Torpedo. He was really, really outstanding in the flesh, and he's just a big, stout son of Big Brown, big, strong horse. I liked him, actually, in the Stallion Stakes a bit. And I don't know how he didn't fall. I mean, he clipped heels there. And, you know, to me, it was a function of the inside horse coming out. And obviously, Brick Ambush was the one who was you know, blamed for it. But I think he took a bad rap, if you will. Big Torpedo looks outstanding, and he certainly looks like a mile should be well within his scope. But as good as he looked going into the Stallion Stakes, I see no regression. If anything, maybe even a step forward.
5 minutes to post in this finale coming up. Public solidly backing this one as well. The Big Torpedo, as we take a look at JK's selections, and he went with this one as well. Jonathan, a lot to like, it seems like, including the way he looks in the paddock.
Absolutely, and he ran well last time in that interesting race, I'll say. And the other thing to keep in mind, I think, that I want to point out, in January, there's a lot of opportunity with horses that could take big steps forward with that opportunity to be on Lasix for the first time, right? Now, look, there's a race where there's a bunch of them adding it. It can sometimes be a little bit tricky, but I think that sometimes you can expect horses to take step forward. So it's just a little tricky. They all could take a step forward. I like the 4, the Big Torpedo. In Oaklawn, I went with the 8. No, the 9, Cantex. Another one that I thought ran well back in September, comes in here fresh. I think a lot of people, especially with Arkansas breds, were kind of saving their horses, getting ready for this Arkansas meet, this Oaklawn meet, because, you know, the purses down at Arkansas are so big. And then at Tampa, I'm going to go with the 3, Bookham Dano, who ran extremely well as a 2-year-old, and you're going to get that natural progression as a 3-year-old. So I'll use the 3 at Tampa.
All right, JK, we look forward to that Pasco coming up. We're underway, as you see in this post parade here. Triple Ward score, 29-1, the 3, first-time starter.
Yeah, tough spot for a firster. But this horse actually is a half to Can't Hurry Love, a very good sprinter.
Here's the Big Torpedo, the 7-5 favorite.
Yeah, this horse is much the horse to beat based on the last race, and, you know, clean trip, and it's supposed to be tough.
Contender here, cutting back from a 1 1/8, Vinsanto.
Right, they're all coming out of the same race, the 1 1/8. Vinsanto did run second. I preferred others out of that race, but not impossible.
Malibu Margarita coming out of that race as well.
I agree. That horse had speed. Maybe the cutback will help today and should be somewhat forward.
Katie Davis riding for David Donk on the 7.
Going to have to improve off of the races. Did run second the slot, but a slow race.
Dixie Farrow was just ahead behind Vinsanto in that last out effort.
I picked this horse second, Dixie Farrow. I thought the horse ran okay last time out.
Eric from Miami, Luis Rivera Jr.
Just not fast enough based in the dirt races.
Gets in light with a 5-pound apprentice, and Lasix today swept Moves Barnes.
Yep, gets a new trainer in here, has to get faster.
And Manny Penny. Matty overrides at 33-1, second-time starter.
Yeah, another horse who would have to improve, but cuts back from the 9-furlong debut to a mile today.
All right, so we're going to take a look at this very talked-about disqualification, even money now on the Big Torpedo.
Yeah, I mean, this is no surprise. I mean, he's down, and if you hadn't seen him, and I know there were some people who seemed to have trouble labeling this race a little bit, was getting shut off there. Now, listen, I think there's a debate whether or not this horse had the position and whether or not the 1 should have come down. But I think most people believe that either you take the 1 down in here or you take nobody down. They chose to take the 12 down, something that very few people agreed with. But forgetting about that, Big Torpedo gets sawed off, whether or not it was a foul or didn't belong in the hole, and then came running again at the end. This horse ran very well in there. It just seems like the horse to beat in here off that effort. And I'll tell you something else. I wouldn't fool around if I was Eric Cancel. You're riding the best horse. I just go to the lead with this horse.
4-5 now, and that was stakes race as well. So now in for State Bred Maiden Special running for 70. That was a $500,000 race that day. So you see those prices from Tampa Bay. Nightcap, $5.20 for that win. Returning to the winner's circle for the first time since March of 23. And we'll get to the Pasco next, coming up for 3-year-old stakes action at Tampa Bay. Going to close things out here first. Can it be the 2 or 4? Those are the only ones covered again in the Pick 6. Everyone else results in a Sunday Pick 6 carryover.
$264,000.
So, obviously, a lot of love for the 4. 4-5, we expect that. Who's the most likely upsetter if it's not the Big Torpedo?
I picked the 8 second, so I would, and I think the 8 is the third choice. The 5 is the second choice. I think it's very hard. I mean, the 2, the 5, the 6, the 8, all of those horses have a chance to be the upsetter if the 4 doesn't win. I didn't have any strong preference for any of them in there. I picked the 8 second, just thinking for Ray Handel, cutting at the 1 1/8. It was the first time going long on the dirt. Felt like a horse that improved a lot last time, and maybe there's a little bit more improvement in him. But listen, the Big Torpedo didn't run that big a figure that I think 4-5 is a particularly inviting price, but he did run a better race than that 62 suggests. Without trouble, he might have run close to a 70 in there. And there's some will argue he might have won the race.
And it was his dirt debut.
Yeah, right. And also, he's supposed to be the speed. And I think it would be a big mistake if Aaron Cancel wasn't aggressive with this horse. And I think one of the things, if you're Eric, obviously he's 0 for 15. He's not getting a lot of opportunities. He was coming off that injury. It took a while to get back. You have to make sure you make the most of these opportunities. It's not to say the Big Torpedo has to win, and if he loses, it's going to be the fault of the rider. Having said that, you're riding a horse that's supposed to be in front. So at the very least, if you lose, go to the lead.
See if that is the game plan coming up with the 4 and Eric Cancel for the Morley Barn, the Big Torpedo. 4-5 on the board. Again, the 2, the 4, the only covered in this Pick 6. Everyone else results in a Sunday carryover. Andy will be watching. Won't be with us tomorrow.
I will be. I just got a troublesome text, though. I have a good friend that's alive for a $1,900 Pick 5. You know that happens. I'd like to be alive that horse for $1,900.
Think good thoughts. Positive energy.
I'm rooting for him.
There's the 2. That's the other one that hits his Pick 6 today. In on it. One of several that was in that 1 1/8 race back on December 17th. Finished 4th that day. Steadied in that first turn. There's the big favorite. And will this horse be the one on the front end? About to find out. Let's go upstairs. Chris Griffin, the finale on the Saturday card from Aqueduct.
2 out. Swept and Manny Penny. Manny Penny goes in. All set. And they're off. The Big Torpedo breaks well and towards the inside. Also, there's going to be in on it. In on it. It's going to be up with the early fractions, but here comes the Big Torpedo. The Big Torpedo is now in front. It's the Big Torpedo out of Waterbury is towards the outside. Swept is trying to join them as they hook up with the backstretch. Then Vinsanto is going to track in the 4th position, and Manny Penny progresses forward. In between horses, Malibu Margarita is right there, so is Eric from Miami. Breaking with the leaders, in on it is towards the back end of the field with Prophetic. They're followed by Dixie Farrow, and the trailer, Triple Word Score. The Big Torpedo and Eric Cancel doing it nicely so far. 23.49, controlling the fractions up top at 3-5. The Big Torpedo, the big favorite, has a half mile left to go. Out of Waterbury is right towards the outside here from second, down at the rail. Here comes Vinsanto with the run. Losing some ground was Malibu Margarita, shoved along, and Manny Penny towards the outside. Eric from Miami is right in behind, Swept. From the back, in on it, is trying to rally on there with Prophetic. Then Dixie Farrow at the way at the back. 46-3 for the half-mile time, the Big Torpedo. The Big Torpedo has a length advantage, and the Big Torpedo approaches the quarter pole. Vincento to the inside and out of Waterbury. They are well clear of the rest right now. The Big Torpedo out in the center of the racetrack now kicks for home. The Big Torpedo is just gliding away. It's the Big Torpedo. Vincento is chasing out of Waterbury as well, but the Big Torpedo is approaching the 16th pole, and it's going to win by many. It's all the Big Torpedo strutting his stuff in the stretch. The Big Torpedo wins this one well. The Big Torpedo out of Waterbury. Then came Vincento and in on it. Final running time, 1 minute 38.56 seconds.
Not much drama here in this finale here. The Big Torpedo way too good for this group, but we will not have a pick six carryover into Sunday.
We will not. Relatively quick race for this quality of horse. Tom Morley's got a nice one in his hands, running the right distance, and Eric did the right thing. Listen, you ride these horses, there's the pressure that you better get it done, and Eric did the right thing. He went to the front with the speed, controlled the race, and the Big Torpedo did the rest.
Well, if you're in front, you're not going to find trouble.
That's correct.
And he did not this time. At 3-5 in the end. Eric Cancel for the Tom Morley barn. 3-year-old son of Big Brown. Out of a damn USS O'Brien. Thus the name. 4-7-5-2. Prices when we return. Oaklawn will get to their 7th. Coming up to kick off the late pick 4 and the pass go ahead at Tampa Bay with West Saratoga and Bookham Dano. You're watching America's Day at the Races on FS2. It's brought to you in part by Hillendale at Alapa. Almost at Saratoga Live there.
We're not in Saratoga?
We're getting there soon. Sooner than usual with the Belmont Stakes there happening this year. Back to Oaklawn. 7th race coming up in this Arkansas bred. Starter optional claiming 6 furlong sprint. Favorite, the 9 at 3-2. Cantex for Randy Morse. Paulie ran a big one the last time we saw this 5-year-old.
Here, this is a salty race for Arkansas breds. You know, most of the time we see these Arkansas bred maiden special weight races run for $140,000, $120,000, and you know the highest buyer speed figure that wins those races are usually on 56 to 60. Now, these fillies and mares are nice Arkansas breds. I'll start with the 2, Connie K. You know, she's the kind of mare that when she gets loose on the front end and gets clear, she's very, very dangerous. You know, she's very, very fast, but her last couple of races, she's just caught a lot of speed in her races. I do think here that she might be able to get away from this group a little bit early. She's got a race under her belt since May. I do think that is key, especially with these Arkansas breds. So at 4-1, I would put her probably just a little bit on top. Now, when you get to the Kaboom Baby, Cantex, and Summer Shoes, the 8, 9, and 10, they're all legit runners, and they've all beaten each other. Kaboom Baby, a 6-year-old mare who's very, very consistent. 12 for 15, as we're showing you a replay where, you know, Kaboom Baby, Summer Shoes, the 10 in here, and the 9 that's taking the money, Cantex, they were all in the same race at one time. Kaboom Baby got the best of Summer Shoes and Cantex, but, you know, the 8, 9, and 10 are all nice Arkansas breds with a lot of, you know, already have good class here, Greg. I just think Connie K, this might be the time that maybe she can get loose and catch maybe the 8, 9, and 10 sleeping in here.
She used to be very good. She's tailed off a little bit, the 2, Connie K, but her speed makes her dangerous. We'll see how it plays out. Matt Dinnerman, the call.
Summer Shoes. Run Fearless, and she's storming the last pair. We wait on Run Fearless to load to the outside. And Leroff, Hissy Missy off slowly. Gramercy Park a little sluggish, then had to take up. So those two trail the field together. Benny K and Susie, too, out there blitzing it with Connie K. Mozingo between that pair. An absolute rocket ship of a pace here. These three across the track. They put 4 lengths on Summer Shoes, who's happy to track off that blazing fast pace. Run Fearless right behind that rival. She's storming's down at the rail. Then comes Cantex alongside of Kaboom Baby. Unbridled Scholar has 2 runners beaten. Hissy Bissy and Gramercy Park as they round the far turn here. So this pace certainly setting it up for an off-the-pace sort as they round the far turn. Benny K and Susie, too, still going at it. Connie K inside of her, and these two matching their motors as they round the turn. Summer Shoes is giving way. Here comes Mozingo. She got a breather on the turn, and she's trying to rally on again, and Cantex is kicking in a gear. She's behind the leaders, gets to the inside. It looks like she's going to dive to the rail, and here comes Cantex up the inside like a rocket. Cantex on the inside to the lead. Kaboom Baby trying to tag her from the outside. Cantex, though, zips away, and Cantex is back. Cantex, well conditioned off the layoff by Randy Morse. Kaboom Baby was second, Mozingo third, and then Connie K.
Cantex, last time we saw her, very big number in a sprint at Churchill Downs. Her first start of her 5-year-old campaign, picks up her 4th career win.
Was favored, got a nice trip, and got the job done. Randy Morris had a terrific meet last year. He's having another terrific meet this year.
This one, 4 wins from 8 career starts. And how about a horse for course? 4 for 5 at Oaklawn. Wins that one pretty convincingly. Back to the nightcap in New York. The Big Torpedo, the easiest win we may see this entire meet.
Yes, and made 5 pick 6 players. Very happy. Congratulations. If you're out there and you have this pick 6, 52,000 I think it was. And it's nice if you're alive for that kind of money. And frankly, there wasn't a lot of sweating going on here. I once hit a pick 6 that paid 10,000.
Yeah.
Migliori, I was singled in the last race. Migliori rode the horse. The horse was 15 lengths in front, top of the stretch.
Oh, no. What happened?
No, won.
Okay.
Won by about 8. It's Rick Schosberg.
Sweating, it's just not good for the heart.
No.
These races save you.
It's rare when you're in these predicaments, you know, where you're live for real money and your horse is just way in front.
Either win like that or have them all. That's the only way to avoid that stress on the ticker. $3.30 for the victory. Eric Cancel for the Morley Barn. And as easy as could be, 16-1, 7-1 underneath to try and create some value. As you said, that pick 6, $52,923. Cross country, pick 5. Still 2 legs to come. The Pasco at Tampa and the 8th at Oaklawn.
Oh, I'm confused. Oh, that's the, because I said my friend had the 6 horses and it was the 8th at Oaklawn. That was race was just run. Oh. So he didn't get the even money shot home. So he's good. He's got 6. He had that big $1,900 pick 5, and he went right in these in the cross country, too. Told me he wasn't betting today.
Here we go. Pasco at Tampa Bay. Stakes action for 3-year-olds. And here's a horse who's currently 6th on the Derby Trail with 11 points, West Saratoga.
Yeah, maybe he'll end up on the Oklahoma Derby Trail, and I guess cutting back could help him. But he's got
a very good field in the Iroquois.
I agree.
Liberal Arts came back.
And listen, he lost to a very good horse, Locked last time, and that pace kind of fell apart, to be fair.
When the street sensed that horse. Here's the 2, Batty King, blinkers on.
Trainer's 4 for 15 cutting back, by the way. Batty King would obviously have to improve.
Bookham Dano, overwhelmingly the horse to beat. He is quick, has a funny running action.
Wow, he is a super short price here, is he not?
Keep an eye on him to see how he runs, but he is very, very quick, just 3/4 of a length away from being perfect. Banded Rocket, Kathleen O'Connell, who Acacia talked about earlier in the show, won the debut.
Yeah, and actually, that was a Kathleen O'Connell at firsters that ran 1-2 in this race, actually. Horse ran a respectable enough figure, a little improvement, could get a piece.
Biggest price, well, second biggest price of the board, El Principito.
I mean, probably shouldn't be 36-1, but going to have to improve.
This one's interesting. Rathmore is quick and had some trouble last start.
A lot of speed for this Tommy Albertrani runner, but can he outrun Banded Rocket early?
So 2 minutes to post in the featured. Pasco, let's go to Acacia.
I've been really looking forward to seeing kind of the big 2 throw it down in this race, Greg, as we kind of march on to Tampa Bay Derby Day, the highlight of the 3-year-old season for Tampa Bay Downs. But talking about Bookham Dano, as I mentioned earlier in the show, we'll be cutting back in distance a little bit to the 7 furlongs. And physically, he strikes me as the type of horse that kind of 7 to a mile is well within his scope, but his sprint races have been his winning ones. He was dueling last time with Where's Chris, those 2 way ahead of the rest of the field, and much as he was when seeing him in New York, he's a big, solid son of Bucaro, but a lot of size and scope to him as well. Moved beautifully out there under Samuel Marin and came back to the pony nicely. He looks terrific. I have absolutely no qualms with your 1-5 favorite. It's my first time laying eyes on the number 1, West Saratoga, as he's been in Kentucky, but he has obviously faced some good horses behind Locked, finishing second behind Timberlake in a maiden race back at Ellis, but he did win the Iroquois at Churchill 2 starts back when he broke running, was able to settle, and was able to kind of grind and power by to run down horses late as the pace setter was pretty keen, running way ahead of the rest of the field. And I thought that it was a tenacious effort for a horse that broke his maiden, being able to wire pretty comfortably on the front end. So he's shown some dimension. I know that he has some Derby points. Physically, he looks like shorter might be a bit better for him. He's smaller, he's a little of a lighter frame type. He doesn't necessarily have that kind of big, solid substance that even a horse like Bookham Dano does. So I do like the cut back in distance for him. And he looks good. He looks very fit off the layoff, not having run since October. Now the number 5, Banded Rocket, as Andy mentioned, won first time out with that 69 buyer speed figure and actually broke pretty well and was dueling in the middle of a group of 3 and then always had pressure even coming down to the wire and was able to pull away. I thought it was an impressive effort from a first time starter. Now he definitely shows in the preliminaries here that he's lacking in experience. He was kind of crow hopping a little bit all over the place. I think mentally still not 100% clued in, but there's a lot of nice size and substance from this son of Malibu Moon, who they bought at a 2-year-old sale last June for $230,000, and he's one that could potentially have a bright future, but I think still mentally figuring things out, where his biggest competition do have that experience edge on him, Greg.
Acacia, thanks. 1-5 on Bookham Dano, who is, again, just 3/4 of a length away from perfection. His debut, Ryder briefly actually lost his irons, and it didn't matter. He still won by 8.5 lengths at first time out. This New Jersey bred has been so impressive. And again, connections, considering his next stop, $1.5 million purse in Saudi Arabia in that 1-turn mile, February 24th in that Saudi Derby.
I mean, I can't blame them. It's an awful lot of money. Those fields don't usually come up that strong. I remember Brennan Walsh taking a horse over. It wasn't really a Triple Crown type contender. I can't remember his name, and winning the UAE Derby, $1 million+ race, and getting a huge purse. So I can't blame them for taking a shot in a situation like that. You're heading over, right, Greg?
We're going to have, I believe, coverage that day. I'll be on set. Bookham Dano, in terms of this matchup here with West Saratoga, it looks like, according to the board, it's those two. Certainly a couple could surprise in here. But you feel obviously 1 to 5 is a bit
Yeah, I don't think
ridiculous.
the gap should be this extreme, to be fair. I like the cut back on West for Saratoga. The trainer's 4 for 15 cutting back. It's a small sample size, but he's done well with a 237 ROI. These kind of moves work. And lost a Locked. And Locked is on just about any person's top 10 list for Kentucky Derby horse at this point.
Second to
and most people's fifth, top 5 or so, right? He's a good horse.
Mentioned he beat in the Grade 3 Iroquois to get those Derby points a horse, Liberal Arts, who won the Grade 3 Street Sense. Sixth in that race was Patriot Spirit, who would win a stakes here at Tampa, the inaugural, at 6 furlongs. That was a good field.
No, I mean, he got a good trip that day, but he may get a decent trip here. It's not as though Bookham Dano looks like he'll be cruising up on the front end. So I don't think, it's not unreasonable. 3 to 1, it's a pretty big discrepancy. The 3 is the horse to beat. He's faster. But West Saratoga is far from impossible here.
We'll see if one of these other lightly raced runners can step up. Banded Rocket at 7:01, start number 2 for Kathleen O'Connell. And then Rathmore, he is quick early, had that troubled beginning last time out with a cleaner break, and he posed a threat. But Bookham Dano looks very tough. 3-time winner, looking to add another stake. Let's go to Jason Beam.
Here's Rathmore coming in. They're in the gate. And the race is on in the Pasco Stakes. West Saratoga toward the inside out, good order. Banded Rocket is close up. Those two, 1-2. And there outside, El Principito is close up as well. It's going to be Banded Rocket, El Principito. Rathmore from the outside, so the 3 outside runners, 1, 2, 3 here in the early going. West Saratoga broke sharply, settles down 4th. Bookham Dano is back 2nd last. And Bonte King is the trailer, about 8 lengths off the lead up front as they do battle on the front end. It's Banded Rocket, El Principito. Those two, 1-2. Rathmore content to watch them after that opening quarter in 22 2/5 seconds. West Saratoga, Bookham Dano. So the two favorites are 4th and 5th right now, about 4 and 5 lengths off the lead respectively. They're 3.5, 4 clear of Bonte King. So they take their run toward the far turn in the Pasco. Banded Rocket on the outside, El Principito. Now West Saratoga. Bookham Dano going to take the widest route, is gaining up 3 wide. Just inside of that one, Rathmore is Bookham Dano is 4 or 5 wide now. So they wind around that turn. 5 of them in a line. Bookham Dano up on the far outside and Rathmore. Those two go on best. West Saratoga did not go on. It's still 4 legs back as Bookham Dano takes over. Bookham Dano to the top of the stretch. The lead now a length and a half. Rathmore back in second. 4 more back to West Saratoga. El Principito down the outside, and Bookham Dano takes off for home. Samuel Marin and Bookham Dano by the 8th pole, suddenly in front by 5. Ground loss didn't matter today. Bookham Dano running them off their feet in the Pasco is going to win this one by double digits. Bookham Dano, let's call it 11 or 12 in the end. Second was very close. West Saratoga might have got it over Rathmore. After that was El Principito.
Bookham Dano dominates in the Pasco in late in this race, not even asked for much. Wide around the turn, this was impressive.
This was a joke. I mean, I didn't see the final time. They didn't put it up on, at least we didn't see it on our screen. I know they went 110 and change to 6 furlongs, but it's just pretty good.
4 wins from 5 starts, and this is easy as can be.
It's a good horse. I don't know how far he's ultimately going to want to go. And what's the distance of the Saudi?
1 turn mile.
1 turn mile. Well, there you go. Why not? Big money.
For $1.5 million.
Yeah. I guess. Why not? I guess the question you ask yourself is, sort of, what are you looking as your goals? How far do they can go? Races like, is that race on Derby Day, the Derby Trial, or the Pat Day Mile, whatever they call it now, is that $1 million now, like so many of their stakes?
You don't even want to give them a shot on the trail just once?
Well, everybody wants to, but you're not going to Saudi Arabia, the Middle East, is a money grab, and I'm not knocking him for it. I mean, I don't mean that in a negative way. It's a big purse. How big a price could he possibly be in that race, right? So I can't blame them for doing it. It's not the route you want to take if you're really seriously considering the Derby, but I don't think they're probably looking at him like more like a miler type. And it's a big purse. I mean, I don't know who's going to be there, but it's hard to imagine it's going to be too big a price in there, right?
This performance, I mean, he's been good before.
No.
This was his coming out party, wasn't it?
Well, this was, I mean, I'll be looking forward to seeing what the fig is. I didn't see the final time in the Philly division. These are better horses, but that was impressive. I mean,
incredible. Bookham Dano, very, very impressive. In this past go, the price is for you when we come back, saying goodbye to Andy Serling. Mig stepping up on the desk right after a timeout, so we'll see you back next week.
Next week, not in tomorrow, but I'll see you on Friday.
All right, sounds good. Richard Migliore going to join me after a short timeout. Stakes action still ahead from Oaklawn. Bookham Dano, what a performance. Now 4 for 5, and it looks like onto the Saudi Derby.
This is Maxfield. This is a Maxfield foal. Maxfield, the G1 Breeders' Futurity and G1 Clark Hero by Street Sense. Maxfield foal. They're just like him. Walking, standing, looking perfect, and selling. This one made $500,000, the most by any freshman in 2023. Maxfield. He's the best in his field. Inquire now.
Cyberknife was a very talented horse from day one. Fast horse, able to carry it around 2 turns. Looks a tremendous amount like Gunrunner, same ability and talent. Holds the track record in the Haskell. He won it in impressive fashion, beating a very good group of horses. Excited about him passing on his durability, his soundness, and his talent. He could definitely be a breed-shaping stallion.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back in our FS2 coverage, America's Day at the Races, we just saw a huge performance in the past go at Tampa Bay as Richard Migliore joins me on set. We have an objection. 2 horses have lodged an objection against the impressive Bookham Dano, the 1, West Saratoga, and the 6 here, El Principito.
Yeah, I mean, Bookham Dano ranges up 5 or 6 wide, and then it looks like there's like kind of an accordion effect. Honestly, looking at the shot that they're able to provide of the turn, I feel like it's inconclusive. The 1 has a lane, but you really can't discern just how far he comes in. And, you know, you'll say, wow, he must have come in because those horses have to check, but there's really nothing to hang your hat on to show it.
Now, and it's just been announced right now there will be no change. So Bookham Dano, victory upheld, won by I don't know how many lengths in the end, but this horse is a major player. At least it looks like it's 7/8 to a mile.
In the way he does things, he's a horse that has natural speed, but he's capable of settling and making the sweeping run the way he did today. And I really had the impression that he was definitely more of a sprinter type, but the run he made today leads you to believe that he maybe will get a little more ground than I thought he would, because he made a long, sustained run, and to be that wide around the turn, traveling in hand and taking the measure of those horses, I think it speaks volumes to a horse that I think we saw a step forward from a maturity standpoint.
So tempting when you have a talented 3-year-old to not at least take a shot, see if your horse can handle a route of ground. We know that their likely next spot is that Saudi Derby, one-turn mile. That's February 24th. So potentially still time to come back from that, have one shot at a Derby prep, and see what happens.
Yeah, it's an awful long way to travel, though, if you think you have a horse pointing for the Kentucky Derby. What's your end goal? That's an interesting thing.
Let's go to Acacia for more.
So happy to be joined by winning trainer Derek Ryan. Bookham Dano put on quite a show today. He's been impressive before, but I thought this really was perhaps the most impressive we've seen.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, we expected a good effort from him today, and it worked out like we expected.
He's such a big, good-looking horse, too. He really seems to carry his racetrack with him no matter where he runs.
Yeah, he shipped down here good. He's been training really good, and you know, that's the way he likes to run. He likes to sit off the pace, circle the field, let someone else do the hard work, and it worked out perfect.
This was a cut back to 7 furlongs. What would be the game plan for him? Still thinking about stretching back out again to try those Derby prep races?
We got a couple of options. There's Derby preps, there's a race in Saudi Arabia we're thinking on, so we got a few options.
Well, best of luck with him. Congratulations here.
Cheers, thanks.
Greg?
Yeah, you wonder, as huge as he ran today, does that change plans at all? And say, let's maybe rethink Saudi Arabia and maybe put him on the Derby trail.
Well, again, if you're really thinking about the Kentucky Derby as your main objective, do you really want to ship that far, you know, across the world to run in the Saudi Derby? Big purse. If that's your main objective, hey, listen, it's a lot of money. I can't knock you for that. But if you're really starting to think you have a Derby horse, and the way he won, too, after he cleared off, under no pressure at all, his ears came up. I think this horse took a step forward. He even looks a bit bigger and stronger to me, as good as he looked at 2. And when we talk about these young horses, we're talking about horses that are developing. They're changing. You know, the best athlete starting high school, not necessarily the best athlete coming out of high school. And I think he was a big step forward here.
Obviously, there's one standout horse who's not yet run as a 3-year-old, and that's Fierceness, who won that Breeders' Cup Juvenile, one of the most impressive performances in that race in a long time. And then there's sort of everyone else. The rest of that group, this horse is, if he's not near the top, at least at 7 furlongs, he's not far off it.
Yeah, you almost think that he would be, if the Derby is something now that they've got to strongly consider, maybe you rethink going to the Saudi Derby and start thinking about races like the Gotham, stretching back out to the mile and doing it incrementally. I think he earned his chance to see if he's a horse that will actually stay a little bit more ground.
That was fun to watch. $2.20 goes off in the end at 1-9. $2.20, and he backed it up, too. Warrants the price.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and that exact $2.20 for $1 over West Saratoga, who has already kind of pointed out that he's a racehorse as well, winning the Iroquois as a 2-year-old.
Cross country pick 5, follow along. We have a stakes race in the 9th at Oaklawn, but it's race 8 that's going to close things out in the cross country. First level allowance race, 2-turn mile coming up, and it's the 6 Sicilian Grandma who's favored. 2-race win streak came to an end last time out, but not by much. Had to lead late in the stretch, got run down late at this level. See if this one can get back in the winner's circle coming up. Back on our FS2 coverage, America's Day at the Races, we take you to Oaklawn, the final leg of this cross-country Pick 5 on the Saturday card. 2 minutes to post coming up in this two-turn mile, first level allowance race. And we'll get to the post parade here with Marshside Mama for trainer Doug Anderson.
Coming off a bit of a freshening, has one good race on a wet fast track at Perry Meadows where she showed better speed there than normal.
Yeah, it was gate to wire that day. Has shown sprint speed in the past, but has not shown speed since that win. Malibu Smart at 5-1.
I thought this horse was very interesting. Get Chris Landeros for Chris Hartman. They've been a formidable combination at Oaklawn Park.
First time on dirt for Delphia.
Yeah, and we've seen Norm McKnight do well with horses trying dirt for the first time coming off the synthetics at Woodbine.
Robertino Diodoro, one of the best trainers on the grounds with Triple L's Cutter.
So horse he claimed for 20, went right to the Zia Park Oaks and now comes back down to earth in an allowance race.
44-1. That's the biggest price on the board, Harmonica.
Another one that has sprint speed, even sprinting on the turf kind of speed. I think has a big say in how the race is going to run, not necessarily a win candidate.
Here's the favorite, cutting back slightly in distance, Sicilian Grandma.
Should be sitting just up the pace set by the horse right inside of her. Projects to get a good trip.
Stretch out for Twirling Savvy. Blinkers on.
Yeah, adding the blinkers on the stretch out. It's going to have to show he can do this on the dirt.
Stellar Lily just won sprinting, did so gate to wire.
Add speed to the affair on the stretch out, making a nice impression in the post parade.
John Court into his 60s and still riding strong for Jinx Fires here with the 9.
My son John Court down there asked him where the Fountain of Youth was.
And he said?
He wasn't giving up that secret.
Long-legged Laverne comes off a win. That was at a mile 70.
Yeah, I think this is a bit tougher, and I don't see this horse controlling on the lead here.
Pachanga Loca, more speed.
More speed to the affair. I think we could see it kind of hot and heavy on the front end.
And Unstable Princess, 13-1.
Yeah, more of a closing type. At least the race will set up for her style, but is she good enough and a very difficult post?
We're going to go to Paula Duca. Paulie, Derek Ryan looks like he is an ultra-talented 3-year-old with what we just saw in the Pasco.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people need to realize that Derek Ryan knows what he's doing with the good horse. I mean, he campaigned Musket Man, who was the son of Yana Guska, was basically supposed to go 7 furlongs. And, you know, he ran 3rd in the Derby, ran 3rd in the Preakness behind Rachel Alexander. I can understand a lot of people say, mind that bird wasn't a great Derby, you know, but he had a dirty beat, almost a grade 1 winner in the Carter, and he was 2nd in the Met Mile, the quality road. So I don't underestimate Derek Ryan. He knows to do with a good horse, and I'm kind of with Andy that maybe that horse can be very, very dangerous around one turn. And congratulations to Derek. 15 years later, it looks like he's got another really good one. Now on to this race that will close out the cross country. And my goodness, this is a tough one. Malibu Smart to 2. You know, I like this horse from the beginning, this 4-year-old filly. My worry is this horse is going up 12 pounds in weight from 113 to 125. I do like that Chris Hartman keeps this horse at this condition after claiming her for $30,000. Sicilian Grandma, Mig, you and I were here when this horse ran, and you were just here, so they're wheeling this horse right back. Not a huge fan of wheeling this horse back at all, to be honest with you. I do think the outside horse, or second to the outside, Pacheco Loco from Matt Scherer, whose horses have been really running well, the 11. I'll stick with the 2, but I think the 11's going to be the horse to beat.
Now the 2 Malibu Smart, 5-1 for the very dangerous Chris Hartman barn. But yeah, the favorite, Mig, remains Sicilian Grandma. Quick return, as Paulie noted.
It is a big, quick turnaround for a horse that comes off a big effort. I made a joke about Sicilian Grandma, my wife Carmela, now is Sicilian Grandma, and I think I picked her that day, and she ran well, just second best. But those tough efforts on the short rest, I think, are difficult.
Matt Dinnerman, one left to load. He has the call here, 8th from Oaklawn to close out this cross-country Pick 5.
A full field of 12 ends and starts at the 16th pole. Ready. And Leroff. Battle for the lead early. Stellar Lily's a part of it. Stellar Lily's going to go out there and snatch the lead. Harmonica, the rider, takes a hold with her, takes back to second with Delphia approaching the turn. Sicilian Grandma 3 deep into that turn. Long-legged Laverne is next. Triple L's Cutter scrapes paint down on the fence, and then comes Twirling Savvy racing in midfield. Pachanga Loca's outside of her. Malibu Smart, 4th last. Lady Commander on restraint, 3rd last. Unstable Princess has 1 runner beaten. That's Marshide Mama as the dozen runners swing up the backstretch. Stellar Lily, Rafael Bejarano on top here by just a narrow margin. Harmonica really turning up the heat now. They're a length and a half clear of Delphia and Sicilian Grandma. Space of 2.5 lengths. Long-legged Laverne is plummeting back already. Pachanga Loca's past her. So is Triple L's Cutter, who stays on the rail. Twirling Save, Joseph Belmer already getting to work on her. Unstable Princess joins that rival into the turn. Then Lady Commander, Malibu Smart, Marshide Mama takes the 2nd last spot as long-legged Laverne is back to the tail. Around the 4th turn, Stellar Lily shrugs off Harmonica, and Stellar Lily kicks to a 2.5 length lead around the turn. Sicilian Grandma takes up the running in the 2nd spot. Delphia is called in an afternoon. Pachanga Loca into 3rd, but has a lot of ground to make up. They all do. If they want to beat Stellar Lily at 6-1, it's Stellar Lily in control, turning for home, and she's opened up that lead to 5 now. Stellar Lily with a huge performance today. Stellar Lily running off the screen today. Stellar Lily giving Rafael Bejarano a double, and Stellar Lily clobbered them. Delphia in the photo for the 2nd spot with Malibu Smart, Marshide Mama, Sicilian Grandma next.
Did no one else show up, or should she just run that good? That's back-to-back wins now. Stellar Lily, Ron Moquetbarn, we always root for him. As likable a person as you'll find in this game. And Rafael Bejarano aboard for the win.
Wow, she just seized control of this race right from the jump. We thought she'd have company. She just shook off everybody. It wasn't a really demanding pace. It was honest enough, but boy, she drew off as much the best. And I agree with you, Ron Moquet, just such a gentleman and a guy that's good for the game. I really enjoyed talking horses with him. It was fun to visit with him at Oaklawn Park, which is his home track in more ways than one.
His view is the track. He's just right beyond on the backstretch there. Got the best view probably of anybody of this racetrack, and gets a victory here. Stellar Lily, now 3 wins from 10 starts. And this was a race that she's never really produced before.
This was a tour de force, and it just goes to show you, when you got a horse that's capable of going 22 and they get to go 23 and change, that's just so comfortable for them. It's so within their frame, and they don't have to overexert themselves. And she just kept finding, ran through the wire, still had her legs up underneath it. That was a really impressive performance.
It really was. Interesting to see how big that figure is going to come back. There was a lot of separation back to second. Game of Silks, all of us getting these stables, and quite a few of us starting to rack up a few wins here. One of the horses in my stable, 3-year-old by Catalina Cruiser, coming up with a win just yesterday in a $32,000 maiden claiming event, going turf back to dirt for Tony Granitz.
All right, let's correct this, okay? A lot of you guys' horses are winning races.
You're the only one to not have won?
I'm still a maiden, okay? But that's okay.
Long way to go, maiden.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. But, Greg, it's pretty exciting, isn't it, to have your horse gut out a win like this? Did you feel that excitement? Were you like rooting? Were you all?
I wasn't
over
able to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on the air at the time. We weren't showing Tampa, but it's fun. Like, follow along with this, see how it's playing out. Another one who was in my stable, I think was over 100-1 when that horse broke the maiden. So it's fun to follow along, see how these horses perform. And again, you never know what these horses can develop to. It's not just about right now. Down the line, 4, 5, and beyond, maybe can become very good and useful horses.
Well, I think that's the fun and exciting thing about this. You're getting horses that were bought as babies, either at a 2-year-old training sales. So you don't know what they're going to become, and I think that adds and lends itself to the excitement of it. And I guess if you get horses paying those kind of prices, maybe we should all just put a couple of dollars to win on all of our Game of Silks horses.
I missed out. I learned my lesson too late. Again, we're all putting in real rewards and earnings you get with these horses in your stable. So part of the reason to get involved with Game of Silks. But all of us playing for charity, mine going towards Backstretch Employee Service Team with Naira. So hopefully, nice little reward coming their way. We're going to take a timeout. We got more coming up. Stakes action ahead. at Oaklawn, at Oaklawn. We'll get to that race in a moment. And we have the nightcap from Tampa. Mockingbirds, that Oaklawn stake for 3-year-old fillies sprinting. Going to close things out at Tampa. We'll be back right after this.
Breeders' Cup champion Good Magic by Sire of Sires Curlin was the sire of first crop Kentucky Derby champion Mage, one of 3 Grade 1 winners to date, along with Muth and Blazing Sevens. In 2023, with just 2 crops to race, Good Magic ranked 21st on the general sire list with $9.5 million in earnings. 2-year-olds sold for up to $2 million, and yearlings sold for up to $725,000. Good Magic, the classic sire.
Experience the adrenaline-pumping, suspense-filled action of the Sport of Kings no matter where you are with Naira Bets. It's fast, easy, and secure. Download the app today and start winning with our lucrative weekly promotions, thrilling handicapping contests, and a one-of-a-kind VIP rewards program. Don't just watch horse racing, be a part of the action with Naira Bets.
Drain the Clock will win and win by as much as he wants. He'll win by 6 in the end.
It is Drain the Clock who will bound home the winner in the Bayshore. Drain the Clock, Jackie's Warrior, a terrific finish in the Woody Stevens that goes to Drain the Clock by a head.
Good to have you with us on this Saturday afternoon, America's Day at the Races. Dramatic music. Here on FS2, we have a stakes race still to come at Oaklawn. And the Mockingbird, 3-year-old fillies coming up. Back in race 8, closing out the cross-country. Pick 5, Stellar Lily, leaving very little drama here if you use this one. Winning by, I don't know how many lengths, 15?
I mean, she just drew off at will and honestly never looked like she could get beat through the entirety of the running of the race. She just got super comfortable into the first turn, shook clear in a race that looked like it had a lot of speed signed on, and she just out-hoofed everybody into the first turn, and basically school was out at $15 for Stellar Lily.
Long way back to second, 8-3, 2-1. But it was all about Stellar Lily. So what does this cross-country Pick 5 come back? Pretty logical, really, throughout the sequence. Whittington Park, Stellar Lily, 2 biggest prices. Andy Love, that was one of his top plays at Whittington Park. $325.75.
Yeah, and especially, you know, Big Torpedo and Book 'em Dano seemed like horses that you could really lean on, and they didn't disappoint. Big effort from the Big Torpedo, who just took him gate to wire here in our finale. Book 'em Dano. I feel like he took his game to another level today.
That was impressive to watch. Mockingbird next at Oaklawn. So 3-year-old fillies sprinting 6 furlongs, purse of $150,000. And this board wide open right now. It is the 4. These odds are going to change. 8-5. Going to click down to that number. Extreme Smoke Show. Ran a huge effort at Keeneland against winners off a maiden score at Canterbury, but then disappointed in the stake at Keeneland. We'll see if that horse can rebound for the 3-year-old debut coming up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very interesting race. And at Oaklawn Park, we usually see a good amount of speed signed on in these races. Not so much in this edition of the Mockingbird.
Yeah, strange. In a 6-furlong sprint,
right?
Yeah, with this, very little pace. And that favorite, one that going to take more of a stalking position as well. Nightcap still to come from Tampa. As well, and this race, this is as wide open a race as you're going to see. $10,000 maiden claiming race, 6.5 furlongs. No one to really sink your teeth in love in this finale coming up, and the board certainly reflects that. Calahoo, the 6, 3-1 right now, dropping from 12,500 to 8,000. But this horse beat no one last time out. Was 9th of 11 the start before that. Has never been on dirt either. We have no idea what to expect from this horse.
Yeah, I mean, I would have a hard time taking this horse as a favorite. Okay, you know, he's in for 8, but there's really no dirt for him to go on. I would have to look in different directions myself.
Way too short a price to hope that the horse will take the dirt. We'll see what happens. The 12, Noble and Kind. This horse ran for 10,000 last time out. Did make up some ground late. That one at 8-1. You have Inside Wind Trip, who was at a similar level last time out, missed by a nose. That was at 5.5 furlongs.
And that's stretching out to the 6.5. Even the 8. How about Ray's Gone Astray? He's run well going 6.5, setting a fast pace, and was a little bit off the pace going 7. Now gets back to the 6.5. I thought this horse was a player.
Yeah, and I guess you got to throw the 5 in the mix as well. This horse was in against straight maidens in Maryland and was running figures that are probably the best of anybody in this field, and now it's going to cut back in distance.
Yeah, and when we talk about horses' form maybe being a little dirtied up, this horse ran 1 mile and a 16th. Wanted no part of that, now turning back, but has the stamina, foundation from that race. Tried turf in between. Actually didn't run that badly there, but now gets probably, with the race under her belt, because she hadn't run since April, December, major player here.
Yeah, in some ways, he's probably the horse to beat, wouldn't you think?
I think so, especially on the turn back. And, he ran 1 mile and a 16th off a layoff. Tough, demanding distance, and now gets down to the lowest level that this horse ever has and turning back.
Question marks. I mean, there's questions. It's maiden 10.
It's
question marks with everybody.
Claimers, yeah.
But December 9th, 22 was the last time we saw him. Then we don't see him again until he runs on the turf in April. Then we don't see him again until December. A lot of gaps in the running lines.
A lot of gaps, absolutely.
Here's Wind Trip at 8-1.
Yeah, beating a nose at the same level last time, going 5.5, has to negotiate another 220 yards and work out a trip from the rail.
0 for 22. I guess fair to say professional maiden, the 2.
Yeah, deep closer. This one would like to see some pace on up front.
Grand Festival, 27-1.
Just coming off a couple of steady minus buyer figures.
Hard to make a case for Hollywood Hero. Has not done much running.
And has really not shown enough in any of this horse's starts.
Yeah, 8 starts, never hit the board. Here's the 5 we were talking about, all those gaps, but probably off form, the one to beat.
I think so, especially with a little more recency going longer, now turning back.
We skip over the 6. Here's the 7, I'm Still Brave.
Yeah, a horse that consistently shows some speed, just has a hard time staying around.
Ray's Gone Astray, if we do see the 8 next, did show speed at this level. We go back to the 6. Here's the favorite, Calahoo.
Yeah, a horse that's never run on dirt and hasn't run particularly fast even on synthetic, bar the first start.
So here's Ray's Gone Astray. And again, 2 back at this level, was on the lead.
Yeah, I mean, has been competitive at this level. Wasn't crazy about the horse's energy level in the warm-up.
Sir Austin not without a shot. Sammy Camacho rides.
Yeah, another one turning back in distance. That could be the key.
Instigating, big number. Has never hit the board in 7 starts, and then the 12 outside at 8-1.
Yeah, I mean, I would give the 12 a look. Finally got on conventional dirt last time, going 6 furlongs. Has an outside draw, which at Tampa I don't find is a big disadvantage. I think horses kind of find a good rhythm on that sandier, and you can see the lighter color of that racetrack.
7 minutes to post in this finale from Tampa Bay. $10,000 maiden claiming 6.5 furlong sprint. We'll have it for you when we come back on our America's Day at the Races coverage on FS2. Back in our FS2 coverage, America's Day at the Races. Thanks for being with us. Greg Wolf, Richard Migliori, and Acacia Clement out at Tampa Bay. What's been a fantastic afternoon, including that performance by Bookham Dano. We have the finale coming up. And 5 now becomes the favorite. Flavian, who we've been talking about, but the 6 at that same price as well. As we're 4 minutes to post. Let's go to Acacia for more. I guess some antics with Callie, who is making the surface switch, Acacia.
A little bit, Greg. As soon as they left the paddock and he stepped out onto the racetrack, parted ways with his jockey, Antonio Gallardo, who landed on his feet. And it was kind of when linking with the pony rider. So luckily, Callie did not go anywhere, and Antonio was able to get a leg back up. But a little bit of antics, a little antsy, but he was able to settle down after that. But a horse that has shown speed on Tapeta over at Gulfstream and then just not been able to sustain that at all. And I do think it's telling that even at the beginning of his career with Saffie Joseph, started at maiden special weight, then immediately went all the way to 12.5. So can he win in this group? Sure, certainly. He looks great. He's well-muscled. He's very strong. He's very powerful. I just wish that he'd shown a little bit more follow-through in one of his races. And oftentimes, too, you never know if that Tapeta form is going to transfer to the main track. I prefer the 5 Flavian, who is taking a drop in class. This is the lowest that he's ever run. It was also going 1 mile and a 16th last time out. I think that this is a better distance for him. He probably looks the best physically overall. Marcos Meneses has been having a strong meet since moving up here to Tampa as well. And I just thought that this horse was finding himself in the right place. Prior dirt races were against maiden special weight company, and he'd run some decent figures in those efforts as well. For me, he's the one that I would want at any sort of shorter price. Trainer Robert Smith sends out a couple. His other one is the 8 Rays Gone Astray, a horse that, as Richie mentioned, had some figures that would make him competitive in here. Back in the paddock, he was the one that kept grabbing my eye consistently, but I completely agree with what Richie said. When he stepped out on track, I was very disappointed. He was very quiet, a little bit dull in the warm-up, was very, very quiet, staying with the pony. No sort of strong warm-up or moving away or anything like that I would have preferred to see. So I was hopeful with him, given how well turned out he did appear to be. I just wished I saw a little bit more in that warm-up. But it's been a fun day here at Tampa Bay Downs, Greg, and I think especially highlighted by that performance from Bookham Dano, the Pasco, living up to the hype this afternoon.
Yeah, it was a star-making performance from Bookham Dano. Acacia, great job out there today. Great having you on and doing all the hard work for us out at Tampa Bay on one of their big days. As we check in quickly here at Oaklawn for the Mockingbird Stakes race for 3-year-old fillies. Mig sprinting 6 furlongs coming up. And here's what we talked about back when we first came on air in the open here. Tanya Showers' big maiden win last time out, one of many who comes from well off the pace.
Yeah, I was down there with Paul for this on New Year's Eve, and she was very impressive. Now, listen, she got pace to run at, and I don't know that she's going to get this kind of pace, but you got to like the way she finished and the fact that she sports, this big effort over the Oaklawn Strip, and she really finished the deal here. I was very impressed with her this day, and ultimately she'd be my top selection, despite the fact that I don't think you're going to see a 21-4 first quarter.
Not going to get that kind of hot pace. Quick turnaround now off a career best performance, so a couple of red flags.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely questions, but, Chris Hartman's a guy who wins at a high percentage consistently year after year, and I'm sure he just felt like this filly came out of the last race in good enough order to give this a try.
Well, she's 5-2, second choice right now. 4 of the 6 on the board between 2-1 and 7-2. And add another one in at 5-1, who we'll see first here in the post parade. Coming up, that's Midshipman's Dance. And here she is moving to the Robertino Diodoro barn.
Yeah, one start, rallied from off the pace and got it done. This is tougher, obviously, but she doesn't know how to lose yet.
Another one that came well out of it to win that debut. Sharp Tune. Keith Asmussen riding for Dad here, coming out of a stake at Churchill.
Yeah, listen, started her career with 2 back-to-back wins, and I think she's the controlling speed here.
Trying to even attempt this name. Edith Strudis at 11-1.
I think you nailed it, but I'll go with number 3 here. Did show more speed last time, kind of backed out and turn and re-rallied.
Still favored. Extreme Smoke Show, huge figure in that win at Keeneland after a win at Canterbury to break her maiden.
Yeah, and a horse that's comfortable from just off the pace, but shouldn't be far away.
Divine Gal got a big number 2 in her second start, and it came here at Oaklawn.
Yeah, 2 for 2, and both times rallying from off the pace.
She is undefeated. The only one outside of Midshipman's Dance who only has a maiden performance who can say that. And then Tanya Showers outside. Chris Landeros at 5-2.
Comes off that big effort, really finished the deal, breaking her maiden on New Year's Eve, and now closed out her 2-year-old season the right way. Now tries Stakes Company in her 3-year-old. I think they're all going to have to catch the 2 sharp tune, though, aren't they?
Looks that way. Can Keith Asmussen lead them every step of the way back to Tampa for their finale? $10,000 maiden claiming race, and it's now the 8. Ray's Gone Astray, who's become the favorite. We'll see if this one tries to wire this field.
Yeah, I'm with Acacia. I like the 5, Flavian. Maybe it's not out of character for the 8, Ray's Gone Astray, but I just would have liked to see a little more animation in the warm-up.
So going to close things out on this card with this low-level maiden claiming sprint. 6.5 furlongs coming up, waiting for Flavian the 5 to load. And the 11 and 12 outside. Jason Beam with the call in the finale.
As we just await Noble and Kind and Skylar Spanabel to the outside draw. Ready to close out day number 28 of the season. Back at it again tomorrow. Noble and Kind goes in. They're in the gate. And the race is on. Good start for Instigating toward the outside. Callie Hu is flashing speed, and down on the inside, Wind Trip is forwardly placed as they come out of the chute. Sir Austin driving up between runners now to challenge on the front end. It's Callie Hu and Sir Austin, those two 1-2 as they work up the back stretch. And behind them comes I'm Still Brave, Ray's Gone Astray, Wind Trip. They line up 3rd through 5th. To the extreme outside, losing some ground as Instigating was passed by Grand Festival and Flavian. It's another break of 2 then back to Noble and Kind. Then a gap of 5 back to Sayax, and Hollywood Hero is 11th and last. 22 and 4 for the opening quarter mile. Callie Hu and Sir Austin, those two take him to the far turn in front by a length and a half to a lineup of 3. Wind Trip on the inside. I'm Still Brave 2 deep, and Ray's Gone Astray out 3 deep, trying to rally up from 5th. Then behind that comes Grand Festival in the green colors, who's moving out 4 or 5 wide, but starting to inch into contention. Instigating is also starting to mount a rally from the back. Up front, though, Callie Hu is the leader. Antonio Gallardo and Callie Hu. Wind Trip tries to get off the rail and come out from the 2 path. I'm Still Brave just in behind that one, and Ray's Gone Astray to the outside. Grand Festival trying to make up some ground. They have just over a furlong left to go. Callie Hu to catch. Callie Hu by the 8th pole in front now, 3.5 or 4. Wind Trip is 2nd. Ray's Gone Astray. I'm Still Brave battling out 3rd. Late run from Sayax, who was far back early on. It's going to be Callie Hu to win the finale, though. Callie Hu by 4.5, 5 in the end. After that was Wind Trip. Then came Ray's Gone Astray 3rd. Sayax did get up for 4th, and I'm Still Brave completes the super high 5.
Callie Hu, no problem, getting on dirt for the first time after running exclusively on synthetic. Wins at a short price.
And won quite comfortably. I couldn't have taken this horse at a short price, trying dirt for the first time, but within the first 1/8 of a mile, you could see this horse was striding comfortably on the lead, and it's always a good thing to have speed in lower level races. I think the other horses get more easily discouraged, and Antonio Gallardo is a rider that could go any place and be successful. He won over 180 races last year, 185, and won at 22%. And a little bit that he's showed up in New York and other venues, he's always done well.
This horse actually floated up to 7-2 at post time, so a little bit better price than we expected. Back to Oaklawn for the Mockingbird. Let's check in with Paulie.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. This little stakes race here for 3-year-old fillies, and right now, I'm surprised. The 4 Extreme Smoke Show is 2-1 in here, and this is a horse that's off a little bit of a layoff. Manuel Escobar will take the irons from McLean Robertson. This horse has had 3 career starts, and every time that she's ran, she's kind of gotten left. And, the first 2 times she ran, she was able to just circle the field. She was much the best at Keeneland in her second start at 12-1. And then they ran her in the Myrtlewood at Keeneland, and she's been laid up since then. That's October 27th. So a filly by Frosted from McLean Robertson, who's 0 for 17 at the meet. And McLean obviously is a very, very sharp trainer. This horse is taking a lot of money. I gravitated, and again, The 5 is getting no respect again, Divine Gal. You know, this horse won first time out at 30-1 and absolutely launched. So next time out, they come here to Oaklawn. You don't think it can happen again. There was a Brad Cox horse in there that was even money. There was another horse in there that was about 3-5, and boom, Divine Gal popped again at 12-1. She's got a tremendous turn of foot. Her and the 3, the 3 kind of got a weird trip and got backed up and then kind of re-rallied with Divine Gal. So I can understand where the 3 and some of the people are going. And then the 6, Tanya Showers. You know, the horse won last time out with Chris Landeros aboard as a daughter of Run Happy, a 3-year-old that could be getting a little bit better as we speak and getting a little bit of action here. You know, I wasn't in love with the 4. I thought this race was so wide open. I'm in agreement with Mig that I think the 2's the horse they have to catch, so I'm going to stick with the 2, Sharp Tune. But, JK, I have no complaints with you liking the 3 because the 3 had a pretty rough trip last time.
Yeah, right. I thought it had a little bit of a rough trip, but also looking at the pace figures of that race, horse ran early. And a lot of times what I like to look at with pace figures is it's a good illustration of how much energy was used in a race, which means it kind of tells me a picture, it paints a picture of who ran really well and who could potentially run better. And the way that the 3 ran with that pace figure and that final number, I felt like they really ran in that race and was off of a little bit of a short break, not too long, ran in October, but came in, ran well enough, and like you said, had a little bit of trouble, showed some guts too as well, kind of fighting back. I think that this horse makes a ton of sense here, and I love the price at 8-1. Remember, these are 3-year-old fillies, and they can really take steps forward when they kind of find themselves in situations that work, that they kind of figure themselves out a little bit. And when you can compare the fact that the 5 Divine Gal is 3-1 on the board, but then you can get 8-1 on the 3. I'll take the 3 all day, every day, and twice on Sunday, even though it's Saturday.
Not just 8-1. That's the biggest price of the board in this field of 6 for JK with Edith Strudis. Back to the 2, and the Speedster now has become the favorite. Sharp Tune, Mig.
Yeah, look at those silks, Greg. Very familiar-looking colors, right? Same colors that the champion Ali Schieber sported from the same family, the Scharbauer family. This is probably the next generation, but always nice to see those kind of
87
iconic colors. Yes, yeah.
Favored in here, and there's just no one else that looks like they have the ability to try and I mean, I guess Edith Strudis did show a little bit of pace last time out, but Sharp Tune looks inherently much quicker.
Yeah, but listen, 8-1 on Edith Strudis is certainly attractive for a horse that ran big at Oaklawn Park last time and showed improved speed. But I just think the 2s, they're going to have to run the 2 down.
2-1 favorite. It's the Mockingbird from Oaklawn. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman.
Tanya Showers in, so is Edith Strudis. We're ready to go. And they're off in the inaugural running of the Mockingbird Stakes. Edith Strudis, Sharp Tune, best into stride, and Sharp Tune takes it to him. Sharp Tune from the word go, strides clear by 2. Edith Strudis runs in the 2nd spot. Extreme Smoke Show, the gray right behind her. Midshipman's Dance in the 4th position, 6 lengths off the tearaway leader is Sharp Tune, and a gap of a length and a half to Divine Gal and Tanya Showers. They approach the 4-turn run. Sharp Tune wings it on the lead. She's all alone, but she's gone very fast. 21 3/5 seconds, that first quarter mile for Sharp Tune, who rounds the 4-turn, 3 on top. Extreme Smoke Show takes the 2nd spot from Edith Strudis. She's calling it an afternoon. Then comes Tanya Showers making up ground with Midshipman's Dance. And Divine Gal's got to get going. She's got to pass the ball. 5 behind, needs to pick it up at the top of the lane. Sharp Tune, let's see what she's got for the final 3/16. Sharp Tune, a length and a half in front. Midshipman's Dance, Extreme Smoke Show. Tanya Showers is getting going on the outside. Sharp Tune getting leg weary. Here comes Tanya Showers. Here comes Midshipman's Dance. And Tanya Showers on the outside. Midshipman's Dance diving to the line. And she's going to get it. Midshipman's Dance wins the Mockingbird and gives Christian Torres 4 wins today. Tanya Showers 2nd. Sharp Tune 3rd. And And then came, I believe, either Edith Strudis or Extreme Smoke Show. Didn't see who ran fourth.
Big day continues for Christian Torres and the undefeated Midshipman's Dance. Just out one start, maiden win in the mud, comes up with a stakes win.
Yeah, and it's just the difference in trips. Midshipman's Dance drawn on the inside, got to save all that ground under Christian Torres, who got off to an uncharacteristically slow start to the Oaklawn Park meeting for him, but certainly has gotten on track in a big way. His fourth win of the day. And this filly showed a lot of courage. You know, she came from the outside last time closing. This time rallied up the inside. Tanya Schauer came up with another honest effort. And there was more pace on than we thought. Even though Sharp Tune was alone, she wound up going 21-3, a very fast first quarter. And you kind of could see her starting to shorten stride. And then it was about, all right, who's going to pick her up from behind? Midshipman's Dance with the better of the two trips with that inside post and saving the ground. Gets it done, but showed a lot of heart, I thought, coming up the inside for a young horse.
4-win Saturday for jockey Christian Torres, teaming up here with Robertino Diodoro. A couple of wins on today's card for that trainer as well. And now 2 for 2 for this 3-year-old filly who takes the Mockingbird impressively here, and looked like a wide open race going in. Like Sharp Tune got everything her own way. Just that was fast early.
Yeah, even if, you know, you're alone and you're unfettered on the lead, you're going fast. You know, maybe if she had settled a bit more and threw her ears up and had just a little bit something left in the tank. But let's take nothing away from Midshipman's Dance, who showed another dimension by rallying inside this time as opposed to rallying outside.
Let's go to Paul.
Yeah, with winning trainer here of the Mockingbird, Robertino Diodoro. What a ride here by Christian Torres.
Oh, very patient. I thought he was going to have himself in trouble a couple times. You know, she's still green, this filly, and the one instruction was to get her out, and obviously he couldn't, and it worked out well.
It's always a weird thing with these fillies. Richard Migliore was mentioning she showed a lot of courage to go inside when she's this young.
Oh, definitely. No, like you said, she's still very green, just one start, and very impressive today.
Do you like Mockingbirds? You know, it's the state bird of Arkansas.
Well, I just learned something.
Well, you just won this race.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations to Robertina Diodoro. Great ride here by Christian Torres. A 4-bagger today.
Yeah, that's big. Anytime you win 4 on a card at a major track, having a big afternoon. Diodoro with his second win, he won with Frosted Grace back in race 6 as well. And we always expect him year in, year out to be right up there at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, I mean, last year he trained 150 winners, and he puts up the numbers consistently. Robertino Diodoro. Christian Torres, at the beginning of the meeting, he had like 1 win in 11 seconds to start out. You know that's not going to stay that way. He's too good a rider, knows his way around Oaklawn, and he is, again, a day like this really kind of erases all those seconds and puts you back in that frame.
Back at Tampa Bay, card in the books, and it was a 4-year-old who had never been on dirt before coming up with a win to close out their card. Callie Hu, we thought as a favorite, too short a price. I think got down to about 5-2 at one point. In the end, floats up to 7-2 for the victory.
Well, I couldn't have been more wrong, and maybe it was a matter of just a kind of a stranger horse that you hadn't proved what they were on dirt yet. And Callie Hu, Gallardo early on, the first day of the mile, if you look at his body posture, his body language compared to everybody else, he was just so quiet and allowing Callie Hu to run up from underneath him, and you knew he was going to be very tough to beat at that point.
Back in the Mockingbird, we just saw it. Midshipman's Dance, there she is, now undefeated. Wins her debut, and her first try against winners comes in stakes company, and she does not disappoint. We'll be back.
Boy standing at Claiborne Farm.
Now more than ever, it's time to get with the program. When shopping for your next race prospect, consider that New York breds start with an advantage. Our New York breds run for serious green. At Saratoga Race Meet, New York bred maidens run for up to $88,000. New York bred allowance horses run for up to $100,000. And New York bred owners can collect awards of up to $20,000 per horse per race. So get back with the program. Seriously.
Welcome to the Adelphi Racing Club experience. Take ownership of stakes-winning thoroughbreds like Funny How, racing at the highest level circuits.
Funny How is in front. It's Funny How who's up by 3 lengths, approaching the 16th pole. It's all Funny How. Funny How, Katie Davis more than amused. Funny How wins the Broadway.
Contact us online to get a taste of the Adelphi difference, and let's win races together.
America's Day of the Races on FS2. It's brought to you in part where you can play all the action at Naira Bets. Get signed up, started if you have not already. Go to nairabets.com and you can bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Mockingbird goes to Midshipman's Dance. Phillies now perfect 2 for 2 for Robertino Diodoro and a 4-win Saturday for the man aboard, Christian Torres.
Yeah, like I said, for Christian, didn't get off to the start that you're used to seeing from him. And he has a chance to add to that total, not out of a chance here in the last with the 7 King's Ovation.
Yeah, who one of the major players, I thought, race 2 back is probably the biggest race anyone in that field has. So this race, entry-level allowance, 2-turn mile coming up, and Christian going for number 5 on the 7. Yeah, King's Ovation. Gate to wire win, 2 back with a huge figure. That was at Keeneland for $62,000. Trying to do again in the slop at Fairgrounds and weekend late.
Yeah, and listen, this horse is taking all the money. I'm sure a little bit of that's Christian Torres money, but I thought this horse was a player too, and I didn't agree with the 10-1 morning line.
Saw an impressive 3-year-old today in the Pasco and Bookham Dano, but no one's been more impressive as we turn the page from what this horse did as a 2-year-old to 3 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. What a performance on championship weekend for fierceness. We'll hear what's next when we come back.
These two arrive at the top of the stretch together, and Fierceness is running a big race, opens up a length and a half. Muth in second, then Prince of Monaco and Timberlake, and Fierceness making amends in a big way. The real Fierceness shows up in the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Juvenile presented by Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance, strolling in under John Velasquez.
It's a breathtaking performance to see this kind of effort as a 2-year-old in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile by Fierceness, who was just a couple of points off on the Beyer figure scale of what White Barrio did in the Breeders' Cup Classic.
He was always traveling like a winner. He was able to get his position going forward and doing it comfortably. You know, this was a horse that was so impressive on debut. Flew in a bad race in the Champagne. They were able to persevere, go on to the Breeders' Cup. Johnny Velasquez actually worked this horse at Keeneland and lobbied, you know, for the mount. Now, Johnny's been spending the last few winters out in California, riding a lot for Bob Baffert, trying to, you know, keep his foot on Derby-type horses. Well, he's riding in Florida this winter, and I think to stay close to Fierceness, and how appropriate would it be? It was great to see Johnny win a Breeders' Cup for Todd again, but how appropriate would it be to see Johnny win a Derby for Todd Pletcher and Mike Rapoli? You know, you can go back to Uncle Mo, who had a scratch right on the, you know, the eve of the race and didn't get to compete. But this is a seriously talented young horse.
Band back together again. One of the most impressive juveniles we have ever seen. Here's his Hall of Fame trainer on what he saw in the juvenile.
It was very validating, you know, because you know, I think everyone questioned if he really belonged, but we had to go with our instinct and what we were seeing and what we had seen from him in everything that he had done, with the exception of the Champagne. So we were wanting to give him the opportunity and glad that he showed up and ran as well as he did. And race looks even better with Muth coming back and winning the San Vicente impressively. And we've been super happy with the way he's handled the winter so far. He seems like he's filling out a bit and growing up a little more. His breezes have been very easy and impressive. So knock on wood, so far we're right where we want to be. If everything goes exactly according to plan, we'd like to run in the Holy Bull and then the Florida Derby. I like the spacing of that. So that's plan A, and good thing about this time of year is there's a prep race pretty much every weekend somewhere. So if things go well, we'll plan on that, but obviously if we need to call an audible, we will.
It's amazing to think you run, you know, your last start as a 2-year-old, and before you even turn the page to 3, he probably doesn't even need to improve if he wants to win the Kentucky Derby. Now, a lot can happen. Maybe he'll go backwards, but off that figure, that probably wins the Kentucky Derby.
Well, and conventional wisdom tells you, and just what Todd was saying about him getting a little bit bigger, filling out a little bit, that he should be better at 3 and take a step forward. And he's a horse that's going to create his own trip. Now, Todd trains at Palm Beach Downs in the winter, and it's basically kind of like his own private training center. He inhabits most of the barns there, and it's a very quiet, tranquil kind of spot, a great place to train horses, and really beautiful, safe racetrack that puts a lot of foundation in them. And like I said, I think Johnny Velasquez decided to spend the winter in Florida to stay close to this guy.
Good decision. To think he's only started 3 times, that there's improvement likely to come. Obviously going to grow into himself as a 3-year-old, but more starts, get better. That is a scary proposition for everybody else in that 3-year-old division.
Yeah, and the way he finished in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, you know, with his legs still underneath him, sometimes you'll see horses win by big margins. But it's more a function of the horses behind them struggling and their form deteriorating, their stride deteriorating. That wasn't the case here. He was finishing through the wire, and his legs were up underneath him, and the mechanics of his stride were still all intact. He ran away from those horses, not that those horses necessarily stopped or backed up. And Todd made the point that Muth coming back and winning on his 3-year-old debut as impressively as he was, I think just flatters, compliments Fierceness's effort in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
We can't wait to see his 3-year-old debut coming up, potentially the Holy Bull, which is right around the corner. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. We still have the nightcap to come from Hot Springs. They're going to close things out with a 2-turn mile, first level allowance race ahead. And Christian Torres, his mount has become the favorite as Christian looks for number 5 on this Saturday card.
War Dancer, New York's leading turf sire again in 2023 with standouts like Barrage at Saratoga.
Here's Barrage with a final surge. Barrage got him.
War Saichi dominant on the dirt at Finger Lakes.
War Saichi has scampered well clear. War Saichi all the way with the top spot.
And Danzig Queen on the tap of the surface at Woodbine.
And Danzig Queen will come away and win by a length.
Consistently producing winners on dirt, turf, and synthetic. War Dancer, proud to stand in New York.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Back with you. Look at South Ozone Park, New York. Card long has been in the books. Here at Aqueduct, we'll be back for Sunday action. We still have the nightcap to come on this show from out at Oaklawn. Going to take a look back to earlier, and we had all these stakes races, but only one with qualifying points on the road to a premier race later this year, and that was the Busanda on the road to the Kentucky Oaks. So much talk about Shimmering Allure. She really did not show up in this race. Jin Jin did, however, for trainer Brad Cox.
Jin Jin worked that perfect inside-out trip under Trevor McCarthy. Broke from post one, was able to save ground. I think, you know, it was smart to get off the rail when he did. And when she hit the front here, you're going to see, to me, it looks like she starts idling. So, where's my company? Where's the, you know, my playmates, if you will? And the filly on the inside was very, very game. Tried to battle back under Dylan Davis, but perfect placing by Brad Cox and a terrific heads-up ride by Trevor McCarthy gets it done. And the Busanda Stakes, named for that great race mare, owned and bred by Ogden Phipps, by War Admiral, winner of the Alabama, amongst many other big races.
And such a terrific job, part of it, too, from Trevor McCarthy, because you don't want to be in the inside. He drew the inside post, so he knew immediately he was going to have to get out of there at some point.
Well, and you could see his thought process around the far turn. He's sizing up the horses in front of him. Who's going to go on? And you can see her ears up now. Look at the way she's idling. She just basically said, oh, my job's over. I hit the front. Horses being herd animals. There was a lot more in the tank here if she was stretched a bit more. But when a rider's in behind horses like that, they go, okay, how's this horse traveling? Do I need to get out from behind this horse? Is that horse going to carry me a little further? I liken it to being a halfback, and you're trying to follow your fullback through the line. Let him make the holes for you and get in the clear and dance your way to daylight. This was a really heads-up ride by a very well-prepared filly that looks to me like there's more in the tank, and she can take a step forward.
Unlike, you know, the boys division on the road to the Derby, just FYI, your Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies winner, but not with some remarkable performance that we saw from Fierceness. I believe a 79 buyer for her win. You got to think Jin Jin in the ballpark of that sort of number here.
Absolutely. Listen, FYI has been more workmanlike than dazzling, but you got to like her because she shows up with that A effort every time. She puts herself in a position to take advantage of things. But this, to me, was a step forward for this filly, and I liked what I saw today, and especially when she hit the front because she was idling the entire last 16th of a mile. And I know some people will dismiss that because it's hard to quantify exactly how much more is in the tank, but I can promise you if something was in there that could have made her run faster, she was capable of running faster.
Likely, and we'll see if she continues on this road, but at least chance for a couple of more preps if she is going to continue on to the Kentucky Oaks.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, and we've seen a Kentucky Oaks winner come out of the Busanda in the past, right? Nice filly. Oh my gosh, I can't believe her name. Princess of Silmar. Won the Busanda, wound up winning the Kentucky Oaks.
She was incredible.
As well as the
Should
Alabama.
we cue the feature? One of the best we've ever done here.
Fantastic.
Would go on to win the Alabama.
Yeah.
She was incredible. For Todd Pletcher, Pennsylvania bred.
One of the better Pennsylvania. Her and Smarty Jones certainly make Pennsylvania breds proud.
Shout out to the Stanko family. That was their super filly. As we go to Oaklawn for the finale here, 6 minutes to post to close it out here in this 2-turn mile coming up. So your thoughts on Christian Torres? Well, we'll get to that in a moment with King's Ovation. Can he make it a 5-win day? Let's start, though, with the post parade with Busy Legs.
A horse that normally shows good speed, but absolutely hesitated at the break last time. I mean, really blew the break badly. Will this horse get out of the gate clean today?
Nullarbor. This one is quick, wants to go to the front, went gate to wire at FanDuel last start.
And you get Randy Zimmerman, a guy who allows horses to use their speed.
Seaside Boy had 2 monster efforts at Prairie Meadows, but then the last 2 starts, Vandoff walked off, and then we haven't seen her since September.
Back-to-back efforts there. What do you make of that? I mean, obviously this horse had to pass protocols to qualify to race and a veterinary examination and works and stuff, but that's not a good line.
Big ability, and he's 26-1. Here's Megan's Honor at 5-1.
Yes, stretching out back to the 2-turn distances, coming off a couple of sprints.
Can't Hush This for Randy Morse.
A couple of big figures for this horse, and another horse that has good speed.
Yeah, ran second at this level last start, had the lead in the stretch, and got caught late. King's Ovation, Robertino Diodoro went gate to wire 2 back to win a Keeneland.
Yeah, teaming up again with Christian Torres, looking to go back-to-back, won the stake, and looking for 5 wins on the day for Christian Torres.
Second off the claim for the Matt Shearer barn with Elusive Target.
Yeah, more of a closing type in a race that, sports speed, but is the horse good enough? That's the question.
King Russell, he was in the Kentucky Derby and maybe taking a little too much money because of that.
Returns as a gelding here, gets Lasix again, kind of the full makeover for a barn. Ron Marquette doing well.
He was second in the Arkansas Derby as well. Hearn, Steve Asmussen's son Keith team up with a 10.
Yeah, he maybe has the right style for this race. Going to have to work out a trip and avoid getting caught too wide into that first turn.
Surprised he's that big a price. He got a really big figure in his last start. And then Juilliard at 6-1 outside for Steve Hobby, more pace.
And this horse has sprint speed as well. So are we going to see a hot pace on here in the last? I predict so.
4 minutes from this finale on the Saturday card at Oaklawn. Let's go to Paul.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, I was looking up, in baseball terms, if you strike out 4 times or if you get 4 hits, well, you strike out 4 times, it's called the golden sombrero. If you win 4 races, I call it the golden sombrero. I just checked out if you win 5 races on Google. It said a winning streak. So Christian Torres is going for a 5-race winning streak on the day today. So, he's riding tremendous and may get the nail on the head. It's just a matter of time. I always say this, a 300 hitter, always a 300 hitter. If he's hitting 220 in April, he'll start creeping up, and that's exactly what's happening with Christian Torres. He'll be up on the leaderboard when this meet ends. But to get to this race, the 6 Can't Hush This for Randy Morse. Already have a winner on the card. Andy had mentioned earlier he's having a tremendous meet. He had a tremendous meet last year. He was good last time out. Your concern with him is his best 2 races have kind of been on moist tracks that have a little bit of moisture. He does possess speed. Does he have that winning punch? And, the one time he had the winning punch was on a sloppy racetrack when he was clear. And I'm wondering if he can get clear in this group with a lot of speed in here. The 7 King's Ovation, I'm with you, Greg. Horse has got a big shot, especially if this horse can get back to 2 back off the claim in here. We have a horse in here in King Russell, who finished second to Angel of Empire. Still the best fist pump ever from Rafael Bejarano, as King Russell crossed second and got points to get in the Derby. Did not run well in the Derby, but he's also a player in here for Ron Marquette, has a win on the card, and he's going to be launching from, I would think, way out of it. That's usually his running style. I actually love a horse in here. I like the 8 in here, Elusive Target, for Matt Shearer. This horse got claimed from Paulo Lobo, and Matt had, I think, a plan with this this horse, son of Gun Runner, this horse is mostly on turf, synthetic, but if you look at some of the races and the numbers, his best numbers are on dirt. I think this horse gets pace run into. You're getting 9-1 right now on a trainer that's hot right now. Martin Schwann's riding well. I think the 8 from off the pace is a really good proposition. Maybe close out the card.
Yeah, Paulie, I'm a little bit torn on the 9 King Russell. What you see often in this game is horses that are on the Triple Crown Trail or run in the Kentucky Derby. They seem to always be overbet later in that 3-year-old year and into their 4-year-old year. People just recognize them. They know them. They think, and you look at the past performances and you see, like you mentioned, Angel of Empire and the Kentucky Derby. And I think that it causes these horses to be overbet for some time. Now, I will say this, King Russell did show some talent as a 3-year-old and winning that maiden at Oaklawn and then running second in the Arkansas Derby. But I will say he didn't really run all that well after that. So I think that maybe there's some excuses here. I'm going to end up on the 7 Kings Ovation, who you're seeing on the screen now, who took all that money late into this race, into the teeth of a horse that ran in the Kentucky Derby. Kings Ovation ran extremely well back at Keeneland a couple races back and did it for Dale Romans, was claimed that day for Diodoro, came back in the starter allowance race, got hooked on a sloppy racetrack, got involved with the speed, and I'm just going to try to write off what happened last time as a sloppy racetrack situation, and I'm hoping that a fast track now can get Kings Ovation to kind of duplicate what Kings Ovation did at Keeneland in that claiming race. So the money that this horse took into the teeth of the 9 King Russell, who, like I said, kind of has that Triple Crown look to him where he's going to take a little bit of money just because of that. I'm a little torn, but I'll land on the 7 ultimately.
Yeah, Jonathan, he's favored in here. So, Mig, your take here on if you think Christian Torres can notch number 5 today.
Yeah, well, listen, I think he's on – well, the horse is taking all the money, but I thought, even earlier before he had the hot hand today that this horse was a major player. He does possess natural speed, but he's also a horse that doesn't have to have the lead to win. So I do think he gets enough forward position with Christian Torres, then gets a good spot, and then, sits the trip. One thing that is always fun for me because we get to cover racing from these different jurisdictions is you learn about other riders, other trainers, other horsemen and women that you're not as familiar with. And Martin Schwann, and Paul just brought it up, has been a rider that's really impressed me, and I was not familiar with him before we started this Oaklawn Park stand. He's a strong finisher. He seems very position conscious, and Paul's going with a 10-1 shot here with a rider that I have been very impressed with.
Yeah, he's really starting to turn some heads with what he's doing. He's on elusive target, 10-1. Paul's selection. He'll be coming, you would think, from well out of it, although he's shown the ability to lay a lot closer than he did last time.
Doesn't it feel like the way this race projects to run that a closer could get the best of this?
There's plenty of speed, isn't there?
It feels like it to me. And usually at Oaklawn, a lot of times in New York, you'll see a ton of speed on paper. And all the riders read the racing form as well, right? So everybody kind of breaks and do we want to get in a duel and look at each other? And then it winds up being a falser pace than you anticipate. You usually don't see that at Oaklawn. Guys go ahead and ride their horse to their horse's merits and go, I got speed. I'm going to let my horse use his speed. And then you get 3 or 4 or 5 of them even chewing on each other, and you get a fast pace.
The 1, the 3, the 6 isn't slow. The 7 wants to be on the front end. And let's not forget the 11 stretching out from sprints with sprint speed wants to be there as well.
Yeah,
So, plenty of speed signed on here to set it up potentially from elusive target, who, if that is the plan, the horse has laid closer before, but it looks like wants to come from out of it in here.
Yeah, these are one of these situations, like if I'm riding a horse like the 8 horse, I'm going to break, let my horse find his rhythm. I'm going to put my hands down. You figure out what you want to do. The first half a mile is yours. The second half mile is mine.
5-2 favorite. Diodoro Barn. King's Ovation, one of those several that want to go to the front, and Christian Torres looking for number 5 on this Saturday program. Let's go to Matt Dinnerman for the call.
Megan's Honor. 2 back. Can't hush this. Juilliard. to the outside. We start and end this race at the 16th pole. We're ready to go in the finale. Seaside Boy straightening him out. Reloading Seaside Boy. Now we're ready. And Leroff in the finale. Busy Legs was slow to go. Nolliber put into play as a share of the lead. Juilliard up there, so is King's Ovation easing off the pace. Can't Hush This, part of the action on the lead. These three vie for early favoritism on the lead here, and now Can't Hush This takes back. Nolliber strides in front with Juilliard. They're together on the front end. Can't Hush This off of them as Nolliber is in about the 3 path, now tucking back over. Leads by a half length from Juilliard. Can't Hush This on the tail of the leader at the rail. King's Ovation in the 4th spot, 2 lengths clear of Hearn, a similar margin to Elusive Target. Then the great King Russell racing with Megan's Honor. They're side by side. They're 2.5 ahead of Busy Legs, and Seaside Boy is at the back. Down the back stretch they race. And Nolliber now is the clear leader by about a length. Can't Hush This in second. Juilliard joining King's Ovation, a joint third. Juilliard trying to come back again, is now level second with Can't Hush This, and King's Ovation is 4th, 2.5 behind into the turn. Hearn is about to save ground into that turn. He's 2 clear of King Russell, sent along by Bejarano, so is Elusive Target under pressure. Then Megan's Honor, 2 back to Busy Legs, and Seaside Boy is still behind as they round the 4th turn. Juilliard coming on after Nolliber. Hearn has gotten a good setup. He's gotten outside into the 3 path. He's coming on. King Russell continues to grind away. He's one with a shot. Megan's Honor caught to the extreme outside. It's wide open. This race ends at the 16th pole. Can't Hush This emerges from that pack, spurts away to a 2-length lead. King Russell trying to reel him in. And third, Megan's Honor flattens out, but it's Can't Hush This. Can't Hush This wins the nightcap. 2 wins for Randy Morse today. King Russell was second. Then Elusive Target, and Megan's Honor was 4th to round out the superfecta in the finale at Oaklawn Park.
Can't Hush This with the win. Yeah, Randy Morse winning with Cantex earlier on in the card. We showed you that race as well. 2-win day for that barn, and Manny Escobar aboard for the win. It's beat a good field here.
Beat a good field here and backed up that last effort. Can't Hush This said, can't touch this.
Haha, MC Hammer in the house. We are back tomorrow, 1:30 on FS2 coverage. That's when it begins. We're on FS1 starting at 2:30. So we will see you then on our Sunday coverage. No Oaklawn tomorrow. We'll have Tampa Bay and, of course, Aqueduct for you as well. In the Busan on the road to this year's Kentucky Oaks, Jin stepping up. Trainer Brad Cox, and a great ride from Trevor McCarthy. In the Gasparilla, Mystic Lake had to prove she could handle the dirt. She proved she could. What a breakout performance from Bookham Dano in the Pasco, one of the most talented 3-year-olds potentially in the country with that effort. And in the Mockingbird, Midshipman's Dance, undefeated, now 2 for 2 with a stakes win. We'll see you on Sunday.